Well, what a thrilling week number one we had last week to open up the 2023 Texas high school football season. That brings us into week number two. And again, we've got some big time showdowns across the Lone Star State that will be bringing you action all throughout the night, including one just down the road from the campus of the University of North Texas, where we're having this show right now. Thanks so much for tuning in to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight, live from the campus of the University of North Texas. Nick Laupius alongside Ish Johnson. Again, we had some really fun games to cover last weekend, and I tell you what, looking at this slate of games we have this week, it's going to be another fun weekend.
Yeah, I guess they decided to have us come back.
Yeah.
I guess they did pretty okay. So we'll see. As you see, we take a look at some of the spotlight games here. For me personally, Katy, Humboldt, Atascocita, you can't get better than that as far as Houston games go, but don't sleep on Crosby, Fort Bend, Marshall. Me personally, I can talk about this more in a little bit, but Cibolo Steel and Lake Travis, that's going to be the third matchup between these two teams. In less than a year, met in the playoffs, met in the regular season last year. They might be in the playoffs again this year. Who knows exactly what's going to happen, but let's see who's going to come out on top of this one, because I believe they split both matchups last year.
And then one of those big ones that is pretty close by is that Aledo versus Denton Geyer, but we take a look at some of the broadcasters and the voices that will be joining us on the show throughout the night. We have Gavin Moritz on the call for Crosby versus Marshall. James Tritley will be there for Aledo and Denton Geyer. We have Cody Brackford and Grayson Nollette, Louisville and Highland Park. That's another big showdown coming up. And Michael Silver's on the call for that Katy versus Atascocita matchup. So again, we'll be hearing from them throughout the night. They are our, eyes on the scene, that we'll be able to zoom in with them throughout the show. But again, we got some very exciting games coming up. And again, you talked about a few that really jumped out at you for tonight.
Yeah, I mentioned Katy and Atascocita. You're talking about a game that's kind of becoming a little bit of a rivalry in the Houston area. Atascocita's been trying to get at Katy these past couple years. They've been just below that, maybe North Shore. As you're saying, we're going to go to the Thursday games, actually, excuse me. Klein Oak, Legacy Stadium, Klein Oak versus Katy Cinco Ranch. Justin Hart's going to get out to an early lead, going to put Klein Oak out an early lead, on a 31-yard touchdown. We're going to keep it here in the second quarter, actually. And guess what? It's going to be Klein Oak again. This time, Lucas Shearhorn's going to take the quarterback keeper, go right up the middle, 13-yard rushing touchdown, put Klein Oak up 14-0, a very commanding lead. We're going to stay here. No, this is not deja vu. Same situation, but this time he's going to give it off to Jacob Everson. He's going to go 9 yards, 21-0 Klein Oak. Runs over a defender there. Emphatic touchdown. 3-score lead, but Cinco Ranch isn't going to go away before halftime. Tasiah Young is going to put them on the board. 1-yard touchdown to make it 21-6. Vital score there before halftime. But we're going to go to the third quarter, and it is going to be all Klein Oak from here on out. Shearhorn's going to drop back here, run action, fakes out the cameraman, finds a wide receiver, Luke Trevino, 46 yards, untouched, decides to throw the hand up in the air because he was so wide open. Klein Oak's going to go on to win 35-6, a commanding win for the Panthers. And Cinco Ranch, tough outing for them. They were down, you'll hear it a bit from the broadcasters, they were down via some injuries. But, I couldn't help but be really impressed with this Klein Oak team.
Yeah, you talk about, we had Gavin Moritz and Coach K on the call as we go to them for their instant reaction of last night's contest.
Alongside James Kovaleski, we just watched Klein Oak take down Cinco Ranch, Coach, 35-6. I'll start with you. What did you see from Klein Oak on the end? They scored 35 points, great defensive effort, only allowing the 6, of course, but really a rushing showcase on the offensive side, right?
Yeah, I think that was the most impressive part, Gavin. Just the physicality from Jump Street. From the very beginning, the Klein Oak offensive line established the line of scrimmage. And the thing is, when you got a big physical running back like Jacob Everson running behind you, it's really trying for a defense. You can see that Cinco Ranch defense start to wear down over time.
Coach, now for the Cinco Ranch side, they scored 6 points. They got really banged up tonight. The starting quarterback, Charlie Adamoli, went out in the first half, didn't return. Connor Brock came in, showed some poise and some promise, throwing the football, but he looked a little banged up towards the end, too, of the shoulder.
That's a great point, Gavin. That's the tricky part. You could potentially be down 2 quarterbacks, right? You have potential maybe an ankle injury with Adamoli, maybe potentially a shoulder with Brock. So you got to see the third quarterback come in, the senior, Caden Cooley. He performed admirably, did a really good job, so there is great depth out there for the Cougars, but that is difficult going into your first district game, potentially having to start your third quarterback. So it's going to be really interesting to see what kind of recovery happens this week. Is that the athletic trainers do a great job at Cinco Ranch, and they're gonna have their hands full trying to get all these players healthy for the start of district.
And so up next for Cinco Ranch, week 3, they start district play against Katy Taylor. at home. Up next for Klein Oak, a bye week in week 3, and then week 4 they're at Dickinson. And Coach, 35-6 your final. Any final thoughts? Klein Oak over Cinco Ranch?
I think that both teams are playoff contenders. I think Cinco is going to be the type of team really fighting for that 4th playoff spot in a really tough 19-6A. He's going to start getting with that matchup with Taylor, who's in the same boat, that same kind of team trying to fight for that 4th playoff spot. Klein Oaks' potential is really almost maybe unlimited. I mean, I think that they really are a team that's going to surprise a lot of people. They won one district game last year. So I think maybe they weren't on a lot of people's radars, but that is a good team that we were treated to watching tonight. So I think they are definitely going to be in the thick of that hunt for 4th in a tough district. But again, they may even start rising higher. Very impressive, the Klein Oak Panthers.
Your final score here from Legacy Stadium in Katy tonight on Thursday night of week 2. Klein Oak 35, Cinco Ranch 6.
All right, thank you, Gavin and Coach K. And Ish, that's a tough start for Cinco Ranch, already being down to their 3rd-string quarterback just a couple of weeks into the season.
Sure, but I do like the fact that they were able to kind of highlight Klein Oak, in my opinion. This is a team that really was hampered by injuries last year. They started 4 sophomores on both sides of the ball. Lucas Shearhorn last night threw for almost 180 yards, right? He was one of those guys who was going to have to step up in a big way. No turnovers from the Panthers as well, a very clean game, so I'm pretty sure Coach Carpenter is going to be very happy with how that turned out.
Yep, and there was another game last night in action where it kind of got lopsided there toward the end. We'll take a look at that on the other side of the break as we are just getting started. Week number 2, Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight. We got more highlights coming at you on the other side of the break.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
Well, Welcome back to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Week number 2, games just getting started here in the second week, but we had a couple of games in action last night as we take a look at another contest that transpired last night in Katy, Seven Lakes taking on Klein. And this is early on in the first quarter. Klein knocking on the door, and from 3 yards out, it's the senior back, Kadarius Talford, punching it in from 3 yards out to get Klein on the board early. 7-0 still in the first quarter. How about this bomb? 71 yards to wide receiver Torrey Paul as Bankston Lembecki, the quarterback, with that 71-yard cannon to Torrey Paul, and Klein running away with it. We jump to the third quarter. It is Davis Yates' 7-yard touchdown catch from the sophomore quarterback Shane Patel to get Seven Lakes on the board, 24-7 in the third. We jump a little bit ahead. About 5 minutes ago in the third, it's going to be the sophomore running back, Edward Kelly. How about this one? Breaking a couple of tackles, and then there goes the explosiveness as he goes 63 yards, breaking a couple of tackles, beating out the last man there. That's a 31-7 Klein lead at that point on that 63-yard touchdown run. And then into the fourth, it's going to be Jace Hayes, the junior running back. And this is going to be his first carry of the game. Watch, follows his blockers and then finds a seam over to the outside. And it's to the house for the junior running back, Jace Hayes. His first run of the game, that's a touchdown as Klein dominates for the 45-7 win over Katy, Seven Lakes. So Klein with the big win last night, putting up 45 points-ish. I want to get your reaction on that in just a second, but we did have another guy. We had Chase Snyder out on the call last night as we go to him now for his reaction of last night's win.
Hi there, Chase Snyder here with you from home base here in Houston, where I just got home from Klein Memorial Stadium after a 45-7 victory for Klein tonight over Seven Lakes. And this game, I must be honest with you, was a lot closer than the scoreboard indicated. Big reason why this margin was so large is because Seven Lakes gave up way too many short fields. They fumbled the ball 4 times tonight and turned it over on downs. Big problem that they must fix. They also must fix a problem of protecting their quarterback. Sean Patel left tonight with a shoulder injury. Hopefully he's okay going into 19-6A play pretty soon. But they also must get rid of the big plays they allowed tonight to Klein. But give credit to Klein for taking advantage of those big plays. Big thanks to Torrey Paul with a 50-yard return, a very dangerous return man, and a 71-yard catch and run, which you just saw in the highlight package. Also, Kadarius Talford and Edward Kelly are a dangerous 1-2 punch for the Bearcats, each going for over 100 yards and a touchdown each. But also keep an eye on their third-string running back, Jace Hayes, who has a 48-yard touchdown run of his own now to his resume. Both teams are now 1-1 on the season.
All right, Ish. Well, Klein rolling on that one, and Chase talked about, how about that third-string running back, first carry of the game? He explodes for a pretty nice running touchdown there. But your overall thoughts, we took a look at those highlights.
Yeah, this was a 3-point game last year, right? Klein won last year's game, but it was 44-41. This year it's 45-7. So they obviously took a big step forward, which is really good to see because they had they returned a lot, but they also lost quite a bit, right? I believe 8 starters total return on the team. 9-1. They add a lot from a 9-1 JV roster. So a lot of guys who are pretty talented in that group coming up to kind of replenish. So, but yeah, they rebounded last week. They rebounded from last week's loss to Fort Bend Marshall. Really tough loss there against a really good Fort Bend Marshall team, who we'll talk about later tonight as well. But to me, it's about that increasing that point margin. Just a year ago, 3-point win to now 45-7. I'm interested to see what Klein can do. 4-6 the past couple years. Let's see if this year is a big step forward for them.
All right, so those first couple of highlight packs, we saw a lot of offense. Ish, are you more of offense or defensive guy?
Call me a casual. I'm more of offensive guy.
Offensive, okay, yeah, I'm with you there. But for this week's Cruton Corner, we have Greg Powers taking a look at some of the best defensive linemen in the state of Texas as we turn to him now.
Thanks, y'all. Welcome into another edition. I guess we're going to call it de facto the recruiting corner here on Texas Football Tonight. This week, we're going to be looking at the top 10 defensive line prospects in the class of 2024. And at the top, you're going to have the monster defensive end Colin Simmons, a 6'3", 225-pounder who's committed to the University of Texas. He helped lead Duncanville to the state championship last year, 22.5 sacks. Set a Duncanville record with that number. He's a monster who's all over the field, racking up tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Huge get for Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns with Colin Simmons. And as we look down this list, you're going to start to notice a little bit of a trend. Jumbo defensive lineman with big athleticism. Number 2, strong side defensive end Dalen Evans is committed to Texas A&M. Number 3, Nigel Smith. He has his decision coming up here in a couple of weeks. He's going to be making the decision on September 8th between schools like Oklahoma, Ohio State, Texas A&M. 6'5", 260-pounder who had 17 tackles for a loss last year. Very athletic. His dad played at SMU, played basketball at SMU, so this is a prospect. Whoever gets his commitment is going to get a big-time player. I like Nigel Smith because he's not only a guy who commands attention and picks up tackles behind the line of scrimmage, he eats up blocks and lets people make clean plays, but behind him, that's very important when you're looking at the defensive front. Moving on down the list, at number 4 is a guy who I really want to spotlight, and that's Joseph Jonah Ajonye at Conroe Oak Ridge. Ajonye is a guy who probably played at about 240 pounds last season. He's playing this season probably closer to 270 pounds. He's got a 6'10" wingspan. This is a monster. He sits at number 18 in our current rankings in the 2024 DCTF Rising Hot 100. If there's a prospect to watch in the state who could make a case to be a 5-star recruit by the end of the year that's outside of the top 10, this is the guy you need to watch. He is a physical freak, committed to Georgia, really passes the eyeball test. The number 1 rated defensive tackle in the class of 2024 is Duncanville's Alex January. He'll be joining his teammate Colin Simmons at the University of Texas, where both of them have already given their verbal pledge. His dad, Mike January, played linebacker at Texas. It's good to have a big 6'4", 325-pound monster in the middle of a state championship winning defensive front, and January is just that. And one thing to keep in mind when you're looking at this tape, 6'4" players tend to have a chance or a tendency to play high. He plays with a great pad level, really moves offensive linemen back, makes a lot of plays. He's not just a block eater. He's a guy who can actually get behind the line of scrimmage and make something happen. I always got to give my sleeper pick, and this week's sleeper is going to be Mesquite Horn defensive end Armstrong Nodum. He is a freakishly strong competitor in the weight room with a 455-pound bench press and a 635-pound squat. He also set his high school sack record last season, so he's a guy all over the place making plays, and he's given his commitment to Oklahoma State. And Cowboys fans watching this should be really fired up about his potential in Mike Gundy's defense. Thanks. Back to y'all.
All right, thank you so much, Greg Powers, for this week's Cruton Corner. And there's nothing quite like seeing, some of those, especially edge rushers. I mean, the freakish athletes they are. And right there at the top of the list, Colin Simmons. I mean, so much speed, the explosiveness. But I mean, take us through a couple of guys that stand out for you. There's a lot of really good talent on that list.
Yeah, I mean, you can start with Colin Simmons, right? Number 1 prospect by many in the state, one of the top in the country. Steve Sarkisian, that's the type of guy that Texas couldn't get for such a long time, right? Edge rusher, you think of the pillars of a team. You think of quarterback, you think of left tackle. Edge rusher is right there, right? You maybe think of safety as another one. In my opinion, with him, you have Alex January. In my opinion, if you can rack up sacks as a defensive tackle and be a game-changing interior lineman, I think that's almost just as valuable as having that edge rusher on the outside that can rack up sacks. I should mention Colin Simmons had over 22 sacks last year, which again, that's unheard of almost, but Alex January also was able to rack up some sacks in his own right. I love a good game-changing defensive tackle. You think of the Aaron Donalds of the world, right? You think of the Jeffrey Simmons of the world. I think if you're game-changing in that position, which is why I like Dalen Evans over at Longview Pine Tree. He's played all over the offensive line, 58 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. Again, he's going to play everywhere. He's still kind of filling out as well. So in my opinion, He's able to be versatile. He's still growing as well, which is kind of a scary thought. But in my opinion, Dalen Evans is going to be somebody to watch as well, just because I love somebody that's more versatile.
So I think a lot of those guys we're going to be hearing a lot on Saturdays at the
Maybe
next
Sundays,
levels.
yeah.
Sundays as well. Well, again, thank you so much, Greg Powers, for that edition of the Cruton Corner. We'll take a quick break, and on the other side, let's start getting into it. We got games rolling right here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. We'll bring you some live action after the break.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
All right, we got the games rolling in now, and Ish, it's time for America's favorite segment. We got the quad box going here. As let's see, we got some good games already. We got Carroll and Marcus. That's a big one.
Yep.
But one that we're going to be checking in throughout the night, and that's one of our spotlight games, Cibolo Steel and Lake Travis. And those are two teams that they don't like each other, and for good reason.
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, it was the third time. This is going to be the third matchup in less than a year, right? Literally 362 days since the last time they played. They met in the playoffs. They split all of them. I believe Steel won the regular season matchup. Lake Travis won the playoff matchup last year. And I think Steel, in my opinion, had one of the biggest wins in the state last week. 52-0 over San Antonio Brennan, right? Brennan's a team that we had ranked really high. We thought that was going to be a premier matchup of the probably the two best teams in San Antonio, and it was not close. But we're going to stick to this Lake Travis Steel matchup, and let's take a look at last year. We had this on Texan Live. We're going to take a look. Let's take a look back at this game.
Field,
always
facing us 3rd and 10. Flags coming off. There's maybe a free play here for Lake Travis. Leon trying to find some space to work with, looking for anybody. Tossing it on into the end zone. He's got a man. It's a touchdown! Touchdown, Cavaliers! And look, as Galbraith comes in motion, not towards the slot. Leon with plenty of pass protection. Now pushed off to the left, bombs away, going downfield, looking for Galbraith, and Seth got it! Galbraith with the touchdown from 45 yards out, put up 6 here for LT. Knights looking for a first. Campbell coming in motion here from the right side to the left. Warner taking the snap. He's thrown, caught by Perez. Some run after to 20, to the 10, to the 5. The Knights respond with the score. You're going to be able to get to try to mount a comeback. Here we go, 3rd and 1. Here, full house backfield. They'll give it up to Albright, turning his back, spinning, pushing forward. Cavaliers say it's a touchdown. Knights getting after it. Here comes Warner. Give off to Bailey. He's got some space to run. Sprints into the end zone for a touchdown here for Steele. Knights finding some confidence. 2 wide. Bailey, the workhorse, firing his way through the middle. He's going to get close to the end zone, and it's a touchdown. Wilson will be the snapper. From 35 yards out, Hunter Reel for the win. It's long enough, and it is good! It's good! Hunter Reel for the win! Lake Travis is moving on to the regionals.
When you have a that ends like that, and this is now the 3rd time in 362 days that these two teams are playing, I mean, you've been on the sideline for a lot of games.
Sure.
What is the atmosphere in a game like this where they've been playing so many times in the last year as we have a good look right here?
I mean, it's probably a big chess match between the coaching staffs. As you see, we take over live look-in for this game. Steele has the ball in the red zone, looking to put some points on the board. Lake Travis leads 10-0 right now, 2nd quarter. But it's probably a big chess match for the coaches, right? Hank Carter's played against David Sanchez before, and so and it's been back and forth, and it's like we're trying to figure out, okay, what is David Saenz, not David Sanchez, David Saenz. You try to figure out what can you do at this point, right? Mm-hmm. You're almost basically playing a district opponent at this rate, and I think the thing that's frustrating for Steele is last year Lake Travis had what they would consider a down year, right? Mm-hmm. They only won 7 games, I believe, 7-5, 7-6, around there. And they still beat Steele in the playoffs, right? Steele had their number in the regular season, and I believe they were down, Lake Travis was down to their 4th-string quarterback. Sam Self at tight end played quarterback a couple times, and they still were able to win on that last-second field goal. Now if you're Steele, right, you come off a huge, massive win, 52-0 over San Antonio Brennan. Guys like Chad Warner coming up huge. They had over 230 yards on the ground rushing between Avion Farrow and Samuel Harris. But let's take a look as Steele's about to score. They're in the red zone here as you see a flag called. We're going to go into the game. A little feature here that we love at Texas Football Tonight. We're going to take you into this game and take you to hear the broadcasters themselves.
Yeah, it looks like we got the horn calling the action.
Defender in his drill has to throw it away, and that's going to be incomplete. And guess who's on top of him? It's Sean Oliver, who had an amazing game last week. Blew up that play right from the jump, and Warren Peck had nowhere to go with the football. That's a turnover on downs, and what a job by the Louisville defense. Following the turnover, able to flip the script right on Highland Park and get the ball back to their offense.
30 penalties we saw last week.
Play by Sean Oliver. It went right past the left tackle there and was all over Peck. Peck did let the ball go. It actually hit off of his receiver in the flat, but no time at all.
All right,
for the
3rd and about 8, and now a timeout taken by Steele.
Even though he may not get one of the stats.
9:18 to go.
So Ethan Terrell gets
in
bailed out by
10-zip our score. Lake Travis in front.
Yeah, so both those teams winning their first matchup, as you talked about, Cibolo getting that 52-0 win last week, and for Lake Travis, that was a 13-6 win over Arlington Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So again, both those teams looking to go 2-0. But let's get back to the quad box again. I have so much excitement over it, and I just think that's a really cool feature. And again, really cool feature. Just a shout out, we have the students running the majority of this, so all the UNT students in the control room getting all that going. They're making graphics, the highlight packs. We got the editors upstairs. But again, so we take a look at some of these games in action. We had that big one, Aledo and Denton Geyer. Aledo off to an early 7-0 lead. Highland Park 7-3 over Louisville early on. And looks like Marshall already putting up, I believe that's 28 points on Crosby in the second.
Taking it out on Crosby, it looks like. I will say, so quick promo here, right? You're watching us right now, the quad box.
Yeah.
All these games are available on Texan Live, right? If you get tired of listening to us, even though this is free, we're happy you're here. We hope you stay around. But if you're a Crosby fan, you're saying, hey, I want that game in the top right corner, but bigger, right? I want it bigger. I want to fill my screen. you can go to TexasFootball.com. You can hit that big red subscribe button. If you're watching us, Fort Bend Marshall Crosby, sorry. You are able to obviously watch the game partially here with us as we dive into this. But if you just want this game in full, go to it, TexasFootball.com, subscribe, and you can watch this game now. You can watch this game tomorrow. You can watch this game whenever, next week if you want. You can run it back. You'll have for a full year any game on Texan Live, these particular teams. You'll have them all. And so, like I said, it's free to join us here. We just, you just gave us your email. Thank you for joining us, and we're happy to have you. We'll be here the whole season as well. But I know there's some fans out here that's like, yeah, that's cool. These guys are cool, but I'm a Fort Bend Marshall fan, right? Yeah. I love Crosby. I love Coach Prieto down there in Crosby. So I want to go and watch them. So go for it. Any of these games that we're going to highlight today, any of them that we looked back on, any of those teams playing tonight, we're going to be talking about them right here as we take a look back into the quad box. Yeah, I mean, looks like Steele got on the board there for against Lake Travis, which is huge for them. Last year, of course, the playoffs, they got down into a double-digit deficit as well. Hopefully they can bounce back a little bit early as we see Crosby has the ball, like you said, down quite a bit to Fort Bend Marshall.
Yeah, take a look at that game last year where Fort Bend, they came out just on the wrong side of a 27-21 score when Crosby got the best of them last season. But now let's take a look again. This is one I was very excited about when I saw the list of games for this week. Aledo up 7-0 over Denton Geyer.
Yeah, no, this is again, I mean, again, you talk about DFW teams, right? Aledo. Let's put it this way. We'll talk more about Aledo later today. We're going to have a lot on Aledo just as a program. It may look a little different on the sidelines. Again, that's a little tease for something we have coming up later today. But it's going to be a machine. Let's put it this way. Last night, Utah was playing Florida. First touchdown pass for Utah, Money Parks. Where'd Money Parks play? Aledo. So, they are going to put guys you're going to see on Sundays, or Saturdays, right? Maybe even Sundays. You look at TCU. They're playing tomorrow. They added a wide receiver from Alabama. What's his name? Jojo Earl. Where'd he come from? Aledo, right? So, if you want to watch guys on Saturdays and Sundays, potentially we're going to see a former Denton Geyer quarterback, as we're seeing Geyer rolling out here trying to get in the end zone. Overthrows him, but Geyer's another team. Logan McLaughlin is the quarterback this year, taking over for Jackson Arnold, who a Gatorade Player of the Year last year. He's second, I believe he's second string right out of Oklahoma. Who knows how the season goes? He could be starting by the end, by the time their season's done. Yeah, this is going to be, if you're looking for powerhouse matchups and premier athletes, premier stars, it doesn't get much better than this.
And then I know you teased it a bit, and we'll get to it a little bit later on, but for Aledo, new head coach, and early on, this is a big showdown, a big test for him and his team against a very good Denton team, and they're knocking on the door right now in the second quarter. So we have a offsides call there on Aledo's. They jumped just a bit early on that incompletion.
I will say this is a good broadcast game because it's very distinct colors.
It's easy for us to tell.
This is my broadcaster brain looking. I was like, you can see the numbers pretty clearly on those. So that's the things I think of sometimes when watching these games. But quarterback battle. Logan McLaughlin, of course, for Geyer, but Hoss Haney on the other side for Aledo. TCU commit. It's weird when you talk about Aledo. You haven't always talked about the most premier quarterbacks, right? They've always been really, really good, but never maybe that FBS Power 5 caliber. Hoss Haney is that guy. He led him to a state title last year. Looks to be potentially doing the same this year, depending on obviously how the rest of the season shakes out. But I would pencil them in probably as a favorite. This is. I mean, anywhere across the board, you're going to find matchups that you're going to be watching for the next 4 years or so.
So again, looks like they're just outside the 5. And we're going to take a timeout there in the second quarter. So Denton looking to draw even in the first half against Aledo. And again, a big showdown. Not too far from where we're at here on the campus of the University of North Texas, as Aledo and Denton Geyer, a couple of teams that just always come to mind when you think of Texas high school football. All right, so there we go. We got our first couple of instances of the quad box in for week number 2. We'll take another break, and we'll get right back to all the action as you are watching Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
Welcome back into Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. Well, a little bit earlier, we were talking about no love lost between Cibolo Steel and Lake Travis. They've played each other quite a bit. Another showdown that was a rematch of last year that we have going tonight is Katy versus Atascocita, as that was a very close game as well last year, as we take a look at this flashback from Katy and Atascocita last year.
On 4th and 1. Second down, 8. Koger off the play action, rolls out, looks to run. He's inside the 10, to the pylon, he dives. Touchdown. 8 from the 14 of Katy. Brown off play action, rolling to his right, to the end zone, touchdown. What a response as Claude Slaughter scores his second touchdown in as many games. Quarter number 2. Brown rolling out. Under pressure from Damian Nuvo. Throws against the grain, and he throws complete to T.C. Lee. Touchdown. 3. Play action, Koger. Plenty of time. And what a catch over the middle by Jackson. He's in for the touchdown. They can take it to the house on any play. So far, he's been bottled up. Gets a pitch out. This is his most productive run. Makes a cut inside the 20, and Jonathan Hall will take him down at the 5. First and goal from the 4. Play lock. Touchdown. The end zone. Play action, Koger. To the end zone for Koenig. Touchdown. Hands it to Blaylock, and he barrels in for the touchdown. They pitch it to Davis. Looking for blocks to develop. He's got a first down and more. Then cuts inside. Seth Davis. Touchdown. 5. 4-man rush. Brown. That is caught for the first down. No! Out of bounds, and Katy will take over on downs.
So yeah, 35-28, Katy on top in that game last season. And Katy, 423 total yards in that win last year, 222 on the ground and 201 through the air. So again, that's another game where it came down to the wire, and now they get to meet up again tonight.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is one of the premier matchups that's brewing into a little bit of a rivalry. Atascocita's looking to get over that Katy hump, right? I believe Katy's won the last 3 matchups last year, like you mentioned, and then 2019 and 2018, I believe, were the other times that they've played. As you see us, we're going to dip into the live view here.
Yeah,
Katy,
we have Michael Silvers and Brent Moody on the call as we take you in Atascocita and Katy.
There you go.
18-yard line, 34-yard punt.
28-yard touchdown pass, Brown to Watkins, a 9-play, 70-yard drive, taking 3:59. And with 7:56 remaining in the second quarter, we're tied at 7.
So far, it's been a very good football. Another clear-out play on the far side of the field.
Tigers will get back to work from their own 38-yard line. They scored on their last possession.
Great throw by Ward Peck, and the Scots take a 2-score lead.
By Atascocita.
Flies on the extra point as Nicholas Rigas is able to convert it.
This is why
to make it a
Coach Carter.
All right, so again, we have Katy and Atascocita. It's a tie ball game to the second quarter.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, we talked about the game last year, but Ish, what are some keys for these teams into tonight's matchup?
Sure. I mean, if you're a curmudgeon and you don't like any of the spread offense that's going on in today's sports, today's football, watch Katy, because they are running an offense straight out of 2005. This I formation, there's a reason why they are successful. It's because no one can stop it, right? Yeah. They are going to run the ball. They are going to play action pass, and that's been their bread and butter under Gary Joseph for this whole time. Some people consider it boring, but I call it effective. I call it good, right? There's a reason why they have 5 state titles. There's a reason why Gary Joseph has been there for 20 years. As you see now, they're handing the ball off. But on Gary Joseph a little bit, we do have a feature on his legacy and what he's kind of established there at Katy. We're going to kick it to a video package we have right now.
Football in Katy, Texas isn't just a sport, it's a tradition. And for 20th season head coach of the Katy Tigers, Gary Joseph, it's a tradition that he not only takes great pride in, but one that he expects to continue year in, year out.
It takes a community, it takes a great school district, people that want to support their kids and support athletics. It takes a great principal of the school that allows you to hire coaches, hire people that are going to help you maintain what you have and stuff. It's not an easy thing to sit there and do, but tradition is a big part of who these kids are. And, you know, they've grown up and they haven't ever realized, you know, since they've been alive, you know, 17, 18 years, Katy teams have never won less than 10 games a year.
For Coach Joseph, Katy is more than just football. It's a community.
It's a neat deal. It's really, really neat. You know, it's why this place is very, you know, special to me. And, you know, just, you know, you said I've been here, the head coach is about 20th year, but I've been around this program for 42 years and stuff. So, and, you know, you invested a lot of time, a lot of effort into it, and you don't want to see it go backwards, you know. And in this day and age, in a multi-school district, it's a tough thing to do to continue that and things. But, you know, Katy's still got a community, and they still got parents that'll get out and support their kids.
Coach Joseph credits much of his team's continued success to his staff.
Well, you know, like I said, it's being able to have good coaches here and understand what the program is and where the program's at. And I have really, really fine coaches. You know, Tim Ripperger's been here ever since I've been the head coach, and Greg Miller's been here and back, and Gerald Briggs has been here and back. And I've been allowed to hire a lot of good coaches and stuff. Some, you know, a lot of them have been head coaches. You know, I have like 10 people on staff that have been coordinators or head coaches. So, you know, it's just, you know, when they come here, they have to understand, you know, this is our way and we're going to do it this way. And a lot of them are anxious to find out how we do it, to sit there and find out what we're doing and things. But there's no magic in it. It's just kids are willing to work hard and willing to put their egos behind them and do what's best for their football team.
With a plethora of talent that's come through Tigerland, a few Katy legends still stick out to Coach Joseph to this day.
Gosh, there's been some great ones around here. You know, of course, everybody's heard of Andy Dalton, and he was a very good football player. Rodney Anderson went to the University of Oklahoma, and he was an outstanding football player. And, you know, I have a couple of them, you know, that Ryan Mouton played for the Titans, and Terrence Fredericks, you know, played in pro football. And I had one just now and to play on the 2017 team. Moro Ojimo just made the team over at Philadelphia and stuff. And he had sent me a text this morning, and, and thanking me for all that we'd done for him. But, it's a good kid that you always remember. It's hard to pinpoint one or two when you've been here this long, and we had some really, really great football players. They may not have been great college football players, but they were great high school football players. And they didn't, they didn't play college football, so they didn't fit the mold and things. But and that's the support that they've gotten and the support they had when they were here playing for us. And it's one of those things that it doesn't go on in all communities.
Even in such a storied program, this year's team is still facing early adversity.
This is one of those groups. It's going to take them a while, to grow up and stuff. There's some talent there. We don't have the depth we've had in years past and things. We've got, we have to find out if we can sustain injuries. And, we've had, a plethora of injuries already this year and things. And, no doubt for us to be a good football team, we need to get all our kids back. And, some of them are, done for the year and things. And that's a tough thing on them because they've been waiting for 3 and 4 years to sit there and be a part of the senior class and stuff. But it's always about, you don't worry about who's not here. You coach the ones that are here and the ones that want to be a part of it. That's what a program's about, withstanding injuries, sustaining things like that, sustaining, we had 3 kids move off that were, potential starters and things. And that's part of it and things. And, our kids, we don't dwell on what's not here. We sit there and accentuate the positive and figure out what we can do to help the ones that are.
After a 7-point game last season, which the Tigers won, Katy knows that their Week 2 game at Atascocita isn't one to be overlooked.
They've got a great program over there. They're in a tough district, and they've been first or second in their district for the last however many years and stuff. And he's really turned that program around, coming over from Westbrook and stuff. And very, very talented. I don't know if there's a more talented team in the Houston area, especially offensively and things. They've got great speed and improved their speed by getting a couple move-ins from Klein Forest and the kid that won the 200-meter championship in the state track meet, so we know what kind of speed they have. But their offensive line is big and they're physical, and they got really, really fine running back. I don't know if the regular season will play a better running back, so it's going to help us get ready for district.
Although he works tirelessly to keep Katy successful, there's no doubt that Coach Joseph still enjoys leading the program.
At Katy, I enjoy my job. I enjoy coming to work. When it gets to be a job, then it'll be time to give it up, because I don't want to sit there and come up short, for the kids and things. And like I said, I have great staff. I enjoy talking with them every day. And, all of them are good people and things. And I enjoy doing that. Enjoy the camaraderie of coaching. And I enjoy the challenge and stuff in each and every day, because none of these kids are the same. And like I said, when it becomes a job, then I'll know.
All right, well, we're going to get right into it. We got a really good matchup brewing in Flower Mound Marcus versus South Lake Carroll out there in South Lake. We have Champion Sports Radio on the call, but that's another really big showdown that we have this week out there in South Lake.
Yeah, I mean, South Lake Carroll is, as we're joined by one of the broadcasters.
We have Bart Castle with us, along with Chris Phillips, who's on the call with Champion Sports Radio. And just kind of take us through what it's been like in the first half between a couple of those really, really good programs.
Yeah, it's been absolutely crazy. It's the 60th anniversary here in South Lake of the Emerald Bell, which that's why it's so loud. We had to hunker down somewhere else. But yeah, this matchup.
All right. So apologize for that. Just trying to get everything ironed out here in the second week. But again, we got games starting to get into halftime early on. And so we'll be getting through some of those games and talking to those broadcasters throughout the night. But again, just going into it, that's a big matchup, South Lake and Flower Mound. But let's go back to the one that's pretty close by here, the University of North Texas. We have Aledo and Denton Guyer. That one was, when we last checked in, was a 7-0 Aledo lead.
I believe Guyer was on the goal line, or near the goal line in the red zone looking to score, and looks like they did, and then some. 10-7
there we go.
Now.
That's a 10-7 lead for Denton Guyer now in the second. So Aledo with the ball, and looks like we've got a timeout. Yeah, again, this we talk about it. It's a very big showdown, and again for Aledo, I mean that's kind of the gold standard. And you look at that. So now we all jump ahead. Lake Travis, Cibolo Steel. That's another good one. So we're taking a live look here.
As you're seeing, Cibolo Steel again. They have a chance to make up. They were down 10-0. They have a chance to make up that deficit here on this drive, as I believe that's Chad Warner at quarterback. Threw for about 150 yards last week in their big win over San Antonio Brennan. One of the guys that you'll keep an eye on is, of course, Warner. Jalen Cooper, a wide receiver. Royal Capel, a wide receiver. The Cibolo Steel team is pretty loaded with prospects and with talent.
Yep.
Similar, like Travis, always loaded with talent as well. Also one of the cooler atmospheres. I've been to Cavalier Stadium a couple times. One of the better atmospheres in the state, definitely. As you see, Lake Travis here, Warner goes down. Oof, that's a big sack there because they were about to cross midfield and kind of get into scoring position there.
Yeah, Warner trying to get away, not able to do so. But, I mean, yeah, you take a look at, and of course, they put up some big numbers last week. And then one of those guys who is always factoring in on the offense is take a look there.
Yeah, Royal Capel, sophomore last year, jumping to be a junior this year. Almost 900 yards as a sophomore. I mean, again, if you're contributing that much, he's going to be somebody you're going to be watching on Saturdays and hopefully Sundays. He's going to be somebody that's going to be a big factor in especially next year's 2025 class when those ratings really start to get ironed out. As you see, Steele picks up, looks like close to a first down. As we see, we're going to go to the broadcasters here actually as they cross midfield.
Furrow on the road. Check that. Furrow on the run. He was stopped by Easton Aird. He was stopped by third down. Aird. 19 seconds left. Third down. 19 seconds left in the half. And now LT wants to burn a timeout. And now LT wants to burn a timeout and talk about it. Probably a smart move. Cavaliers are not going to get the football back. Cavaliers are not going to get the football back. They want to make sure that they don't on offense. They want to make sure that they don't give points. Mike Youngblood down on the sidelines. Mike Youngblood down on the sidelines. How's the atmosphere tonight?
Yeah, so you heard that one getting down to the wire at the end of the first half. Cibolo Steel trying to get something up before halftime. We're going to go ahead and take a break. On the other side, hey, we're rocking and rolling now. We got big matchups right in the midst of things here in Texas. We'll be right back. Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
Hi, welcome back to Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. As again, we got games starting to get into the halftime break, and one of those spotlighted games into halftime now is we'll be joining Gavin Moritz and Coach Ryan Rourke covering Crosby and Fort Bend. Again, this is a rematch from last year, but that's a 35-0 lead right now for Fort Bend Marshall. And Gavin, just kind of give us your thoughts. Are you surprised at all of the lopsided score in the first half?
Guys, this is a game last year that was 27-21, went to overtime. Crosby won the game last year, week 2 at home. This year, kind of a different story so far. It's 35-0 Fort Bend Marshall at the half. And Coach, one thing we talked about on air and kind of off air was the youth of Fort Bend Marshall along with their speed.
Yeah, and I'm shocked with the score at 35-0 at halftime as well. One of the things I'm incredibly impressed with is the youth of Fort Bend Marshall. They have a lot of sophomores playing for them, a lot of them starting for them, but they're not just good players for sophomores. They're good players for anybody. And they're led by Isaiah Williams, defensive back, quarterback Caden Johnson, who's played a bunch, and Oriel Dominguez, and the starting running back Peyton Long. Those four guys are all heavily contributing to this big-time score that we have here in the first half.
Yeah, I guess for me, when I always think of Fort Bend Marshall, I've always thought of offense, right? Of course, Devon Chain, Malik Hornsby, those state finals teams. What have you seen from their defense this year? Because in my opinion, that was the one that really stood out when I looked at their returners this year.
Hey, we talked on the air about the speed of the receivers, right? You think of Fort Bend Marshall, you think of speedy receivers, lots of lightning quick guys on offense. Their secondary is lightning quick as well, Coach. I mean, they got guys in the secondary that are probably running track as well, and they're contributing in a big way.
Well, there are a lot of their guys that are on their 400 relay, their 800 relay team that you see in Austin every year. And some of the same names I'm calling out tonight are some of the same guys that you see in the state track meet. But what's impressive about Marshall's defense this year, you're not having to call out those secondary names very often because they're never getting to the defensive backs. The front four is just absolutely out-quicking and dominating Crosby's offensive line. And then the one linebacker that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, Mr. Dominguez, number 16, he's about 6'2", 200, 16-year-old kid, but he'll be playing football in 3 years on Saturday. There's no doubt about it. He is an absolute stud on defense.
What does it say about Fort Bend Marshall? We thought they kind of reached the ceiling a couple of years ago with those state title game appearances, that they have a lot of these sophomores coming in, a lot of these juniors kind of coming in. And like you mentioned, this game wasn't this kind of a blowout last year, what they're doing to Crosby right now.
Guys, I think it's a testament to Coach Williams. He's his 14th year as the head coach of the Marshall Buffaloes. He started in 2010. He's got this program reloaded and ready to go for another deep run this year. They went to the 4th round last year, lost to a very good P&G team that played for the state championship in 5A, Division II, and I think Fort Bend Marshall is ready to go for another deep run this year.
Gavin Moritz and Ryan Rourke, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll have fun in that second half as we'll see if that one can get a little bit closer. But hey, we got some highlights coming in now. There we go. We're going to get them rolling. But before we get to those highlights, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I'm excited to get some of the highlights. But, I mean, that's a bit of a surprising score right there at half.
It really is. But also, you can look at Fort Bend Marshall. We mentioned some of the young players that they have on this year's team. One in particular is 2025 wide receiver Caden Ferguson, 311 yards last year, 6 touchdowns. Again, this is a guy who's becoming a junior this year. This was as a sophomore. And you think of Fort Bend Marshall, you think of skill positions, and he's the one that's going to be next in line to kind of take that step forward. Coach Rourke mentioned Caden Johnson, who's a sophomore this year, right? You're going to hear a lot of 2026, 2025 because these guys are going to be around. But to me, it starts with Caden Ferguson if you want to talk about guys that are the top end, potentially the top end, that are potentially going to take a step forward this year from last year.
Yeah, so again, Fort Bend all over in that first half, a 35-0 lead. But again, I was getting a little eager, but we got some highlights rolling in. And the first one, well, it's another game that's a little bit of a lopsided score early on as we take a look at Spring versus North Shore. So we take you into the first quarter, a little bit of pre-snap motion, dropping back, and that was a nice little dart right there. And breaking a tackle, that's going to be the wide receiver, Dion DeBlanc, taking it to the house on that run there, is able to break through a couple of tackles after the catch, breaking a few. 7-0 Mustangs still in the first. As again, you see North Shore marching in with a 10-0 lead. We're going to get a little pass out to the outside, and that's going to be a wide receiver screen for Christopher Barnes, 28 yards, and a 17-0 lead for North Shore in the opening quarter as Barnes takes it to the house. So we'll jump ahead to the second. And how about this? We saw a couple of big runs from last week, and this time 61 yards to the house. That's going to be the running back who takes it all the way for 61 yards, and that made it 24-0 North Shore. So you can see North Shore taking a pretty big lead early on. A couple of nice plays by the receivers, especially we saw DeBlanc with the run, breaking a couple of tackles for that first touchdown early in that contest.
North Shore doing North Shore things, kind of handling business. There's a reason why they were in the state title game last year, that they're going to be a favorite again, despite losing their head coach, John Kay. I mean, Willie Gasson's taking over that program. That's going to be something to keep an eye on, but looks pretty good to me so far. I don't know, back-to-back weeks of looking pretty smooth.
Pretty good start. 24-0 in that one, as we saw a couple of those games in the Quad Box, America's favorite segment. Again, we got some great games on the spotlighted games so far. And as we take a look at some of those, we have Highland Park, 14-10 lead over Louisville. But again, as we're about an hour in now to the show, anything standing out? I know we have a couple lopsided scores, but let's take a look at this Highland Park game right there. There's a big run, breaking a couple of tackles. Oh,
how about that? Did he get in?
Yeah, I think inside the 5, or is that a
got
touchdown?
it. No, that's a signal for a touchdown.
Yeah,
Highland
touchdown.
Park.
Oh, we joined at the perfect time.
Look at that. Look at that live jump in right there.
All right.
Perfect.
Oh, now we got Aledo looking to get back on top, trying to go over the top and able to just break the plane as Aledo back in front of Denton Geyer, and a big, powerful run right there to get the Bearcats back on top of Denton Geyer. So that's now a 21-17, and yeah, it looks like they might be going for 2 on this one. But again, that's a big run for Aledo. So they're back in front in the second. Again, this is a really big showdown. So we'll take a look and see if they can convert as they roll out, throwing over the middle, and a nice catch to the tight end. That's beautifully done by Aledo as they convert on the 2-point conversion. And so they take the 23-17 lead over Denton Geyer. So there we go. We're getting a couple of live look-ins and getting to see a couple of scores early on.
Oh yeah, definitely. We do have some more highlights though.
I like highlights.
Let's get some highlights then. Let's go Silsby, Huffman, Hargrave. We're going to go to the first quarter here. Let's jump into these highlights really quick. Silsby, I mean, probably the most exciting player in the state in my opinion. Draylon Miller, look at this, a little shifty move, stiff arms a man, one-on-one, you're not winning that. He scores from 15 yards out, early lead for Silsby. We're gonna go later in the first quarter. Look at this, Huffman Hargrave. Oh yeah, just chilling right here, right? There's nothing's gonna happen here. Nothing's gonna happen. Oh wait, this is a highlight, which means something has to happen here. He's gonna get sacked, thrown down. That's Gary White coming off for the sack. Big hit. And let's go back to the offense for Silsby in the second quarter. Trey Kibbles, the Silsby offense is absolutely loaded. Right up the middle, follows the lineman, almost untouched basically, takes it off for a Tiger touchdown. It is 13-0 Silsby over Huffman Hargrave. As you take a look at a live look-in right here, Humboldt, Atascocita, and Katy tied at 14. Again, this is a matchup that's always gone Katy's way. If you're Atascocita looking to take the lead a little bit here, right, just before halftime.
Yeah, 1:40 to go, and Atascocita knocking on the door just outside of the 1, it looks like. So here we go, the running clock. So yeah, they're going to try and take as much time off as possible. Now we're going to get a timeout.
That's a smart timeout, honestly, because you got to make sure that they're good to go. You got to make sure, again, this is just before halftime, so you're going to want to make sure that you put up the best defense you got, right? Because you can't let Atascocita take this momentum into the half. You have to be able to, if you're Katy, this has kind of been the psyche, I guess, you've kind of had over them for a while. You're the team that they can't beat seemingly. And if they get this into halftime, who knows? They're going to be fired up, right? Coach Stump's going to have a great halftime speech. Either way, if I'm Atascocita, I'm like, this is awesome. We have a chance to take the lead. Whether or not they do or not on this next play or this next couple plays, we'll see. But you're right there in the game. You're showing that, look, it's time for Atascocita to kind of show themselves as that Houston powerhouse that they can be, right? It's always been the Katy or the North Shore show. Yeah. And there is a third program kind of emerging there, and it could be Atascocita, and we could finally see that happen tonight.
Yeah, they were part of one of our spotlight games last week where they had the 46-21 win over Dickinson as they're marching back out onto the field after that timeout. And yeah, I mean, you talk about this could be huge to get a lead before the half against Katy as they're going to move back in. That's, again, just outside the 1, it looks like. So we're going to get all the big boys out there.
I would not be surprised to see Zion Brown kind of roll out here at quarter. Oh, he's going to go right
Oh,
up
it's
the
going to
middle.
be a sneak.
That's something. Okay, so see, that's something that I'm a little caught off guard by, because if I'm Atascocita, even though they're known for offensive linemen, I don't know if you want to play Katy's game of kind of being physical.
Well, you were caught off guard. Katy was not.
There's a reason why.
That's what they were expecting.
Yeah, they're the reason why they are who they are.
Well, I don't know. I mean, but if you're Atascocita, maybe you make that the first play to just take some more time off of the clock and really try and make sure Katy does not get the ball back. Do they go with the QB sneak again?
They might.
They are. Here we go.
And it looks like that one pushed over.
Yeah, that one's in.
Zion
So there we
Brown
go.
doing it himself.
Yeah, so Atascocita with the touchdown. Oh, there we go.
Oh, we got some lights action going on here. What's up with this? Oh, my goodness.
That's pretty fancy for high school.
I see you, Wumble ISD.
I like that. All right, so there we go. Hey, that's big for Atascocita to get the lead. Under a minute to go in the second.
I got some graphics too.
I like it.
This is awesome.
I like it. Can we stick with that?
I was about to say.
This is awesome. They got the graphics. They got the cool little lights going there that you see at pro games, college games. I like it. Hats off. So, all right, there we go. Atascocita, they take the lead right before halftime. We'll take a break. On the other side, we'll take a look at some of the other scores here on Texas Football Tonight.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big-name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
battle of coach and teams with new head coaches this year. Let's take a look at some highlights for Cedar Hill and Arlington Martin. Let's go right in here. Jumping into the first quarter, it's going to be Cedar Hill quarterback Jalen Thomas. He's going to take the handoff here, pull the ball. That's a good option read. Powers his way into the end zone for an early lead for Cedar Hill. Longhorns need that after a disappointing year last year. Let's go to the next score here. We got Arlington Martin right back at it, down 7-0. Brooks Briggins couldn't catch the snap. Oh no, what's happening here? He tries to think on his feet, but unfortunately, Cedar Hill is able to catch up with the turnover. Big chance to capitalize on it. As we see, my goodness, I mean, that's not exactly the way you want to start things if you're Arlington Martin, but Cedar Hill, let's see if they can get a field goal here. I don't know, maybe some foreboding here with some, non-offensive plays being made. A block as Arlington Martin's gonna take it almost all the way. That's Titus Thomas for Arlington Martin. Cross midfield, give them a big chance to tie this one up, but Cedar Hill holds, and they're able to take a 14-0 lead on this play. Jalen Thompson right here, play action pass. LaKendrick Bridges, oh my goodness, a dime, great concentration. 14-0 Cedar Hill over Arlington Martin right now at the half. I mentioned last year Cedar Hill did not have the season that they wanted. They have a new head coach, they have a new staff. Arlington Martin, similar, new head coach, new staff, or similar staff. They held on to a lot of their guys. So here we go. I mean, Louisville, and as we're going to kind of transition here, actually.
Yeah, I think we're staying here
in the DFW
area. We got the Louisville Fighting Farmers and the Highland Park Scots, as we got Champion Sports Radio on the call there, as we're now joined by Cody Barfnick and Grayson Nolette. And that's a 21-10 lead for Highland Park. And Grayson, just kind of take us through anything surprising in that first half.
Yeah, if I could say that anything is surprising, it's just some of the mistakes that Louisville has suffered here. Something that you didn't really see at all last week in their win against Naaman Forest. The defense was electric last week against Naaman Forest, but tonight there's been some missed tackles. There's been a couple of penalties that have cost them some touchdowns on the board as well. And the thing about Randy Allen and Highland Park is that they're going to capitalize on those things, and that's certainly what they've done here in the first half. Warren Peck has been leading the charge on offense for the Scots, and they're taking care of business right now with a 21-10 lead.
Yeah, I've been curious. I haven't seen Warren Peck in person yet, but of course Highland Park's known for just pumping out quarterbacks endlessly, basically. What have you seen from him so far this season, but of course particularly in this game?
Yes, in the first half, he's been borderlining on flawless. Hasn't really made a single throw yet that you could say is questionable. And the thing about him is he doesn't look like he would be as dual threat as he actually is on the field. He's great on his feet. He's had a lot of critical scramble runs that have given the Scots some great first downs in critical situations when they needed it most here in the first half. And he's made smart decisions with the football. He looks calm and collected out there. It's exactly what Randy Allen's looking for in his starting quarterback.
Now, looking at the other side here, if you're Louisville, right, you're down 21-10. What have you seen needs to change for them on that side? Do you get Ethan Terrell going? What kind of things do you think needs to change for the Farmers?
I think firstly on offense, they need to just continue to run the ball as well as they have with Byron Ellison and Ethan Terrell. That's a deadly combo. They've also got guys like Tennell Hill and Addison Wells in the backfield as well, who are also very talented running backs. So that's got to be how they tire down this defense, but they've got to find a way to make things happen through the year as well offensively. They're without their starting wide receiver, Lamar Kirby, here tonight. They got to find a way to get the ball into Jaden Hardy, J.J. Gonzalez, Ty Miller's hands more effectively downfield, try to make some big plays on the offensive side. And on defense, simply put, they just got to start making tackles at the first point of contact. They're hitting the Scots players, with first contact, but Highland Park, they're breaking tackles and they're making secondary plays right now that are turning into touchdowns for them. So they just got to clean some things up on the defensive side, continue to do what they're doing on offense, and I think Louisville could get right back into this thing in the second half.
All right, Grayson Nolette, again, thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you go. Go enjoy some of the nice press box food they have there always at Highland Park. You can hear Grayson on Champion Sports Radio. He's on the call, Louisville and Highland Park. The Scots with the lead. And again, that's a good start. Highland Park, they put up 56 points last week and up to a lead at halftime this week.
Yeah, I mentioned Warren Peck. I mean, he's the next in line, right? Of course, everybody knows the Matthew Staffords, but even the John Stephen Jones, the Braden Shakers, right? There always seems to be some type of elite quarterback that's coaching Randy Allen's teams. But I am interested in how Louisville handles this, because under Michael Odell, they've been 23-4 the past 2 seasons. They really seem on the cusp. I believe they made their deepest run since 1996 last season. They really are. Ethan Terrell is a Jackson State commit at quarterback. They have guys, right? The turnaround that Michael Odell's done there has been really fantastic. He's been there since I believe 2017 or 2016. I believe 2017. And he's done a fantastic job. They're now on the cusp of being kind of one of those DFW area teams that you always have to watch out for, that's playing past Thanksgiving and that's playing up to Thanksgiving. I think if they come out, if Grayson's correct and they can kind of turn this around, which it seems like there's a lot of like fixable mistakes that have kind of been plaguing them so far, which against a Highland Park team that's as well coached as they are, you can't make, because they're going to capitalize on them. But if they're able to kind of turn some of those things around, I think this could be a potentially a really huge second half in terms of showing the state and kind of the rest of the state what they are and what the program's been these past couple of years.
Yeah, so again, Highland Park with the lead at halftime as well. Take a look. Earlier we saw Atascocita get a big touchdown before the half, and we liked the humble ISD. They had the lights going and everything there at the stadium. Let's take a look at Summer Creek versus Clear Falls. We take you to the first quarter. Here's a quick slant, and that's going to yield 35 yards to the house as Summer Creek getting an early lead on that slant route, and that's pretty nice. You see the explosiveness from the wide receivers. We take another look. Summer Creek continuing to roll. They had a 9-0 lead. We get another short pass. Beautiful blocking upfield, though, and that's going to be another touchdown. So again, the wide receivers able to make something happen after the catch as they're able to kind of slip through. And again, you had some great blocks there by a couple of the other receivers on that kind of screen. And then how about this in the corner? Elevation. How about that? Landon Vessel as he goes into the corner, and that's a beautiful catch through some contact, and that got Clear Falls on the board. At that one at halftime, that's a 19-7 lead for Summer Creek over Clear Falls, but that's a pretty nifty catch right there in the corner of the end zone. As we take a look at, again, a couple of those games, we got Marshall 35-0 over Crosby, and we got Willis and Temple. That's a 28-14 lead for Willis at the moment as we're taking a look at some of those scores throughout the state. Anything surprising? I mean, again, that Fort Bend Marshall game really, that score really surprising early on.
Especially because this is probably a year early for them, what you would maybe think of their best years are going to be with a lot of juniors and sophomores. But the fact that they're kind of handling business like that, that's going to wake up a lot of people saying, all right, I guess we're in for another year of hurt from Fort Bend Marshall.
You got Crosby with the ball in their own territory, trying to get something going as we get started in the third quarter. Crosby just trying to get something going. Again, that's something we talked about. We were talking with Gavin Moritz earlier, who was on the call there. But that was the game where Crosby came out on the other end last year on the 27-21 win. And it's all been Marshall so far, up 35-0. Into the second half as there's a run that's going to bring up a third down here for Crosby as they just try to get something going.
Yeah, as we mentioned, all these games that we're going to be jumping into are available in full on TexanLive.com. We're jumping into them. We're going to be switching around, but if you want to watch this game in full, feel free to go ahead, right? Temple and Willis over there. We mentioned Willis quarterback DJ Lagway last week in the top-rated quarterback in the state. Committed to Florida. Florida looked like they could use him last night in that game against Utah. So Lagway, I mentioned him. He burst out. He came onto the scene as a sophomore. Powers talked about him. There's a reason why he is the #1 quarterback in the state. And, I mean, he's a physical freak, right? 3,700 yards passing in his career so far, 42 touchdowns in the air, but 1,200 yards on the ground, 13 touchdowns on the ground. Again, this guy's a machine, right? He has the arm, he has the physical tools, and he also is a unstoppable force when he gets going. As a sophomore, you could tell he was mostly a lot of running. He was kind of learning the offense. He was still kind of developing his arm. Last year, he took such a massive step forward, had a big offseason, and obviously became the #1 quarterback in the class of 2024. Again, I'll say he could probably walk into Florida right now and compete for the job. But we're going to jump into the broadcasters here. Oh, sorry. No, we're not going to do that. Sorry about that. As you're seeing Temple here, throws an interception right at him. Oh, I was just about to comment the blue front, white back pants that Temple
ball came
wears.
out just at the end there too, but that'll stay with him. And now we'll take it to the broadcast.
Ball back. Picking up the interception, and Willis stops Temple. Going into halftime, 42.9 seconds left. And that's a big, big turnover right there for Willis.
3 big stops in a row from Willis defense.
This game is being brought to you by VCR Now, proud sponsor of the Dave Campbell's Texan Live Student Multimedia Spotlight Award. First down and 10 from their own 37-yard line. Here comes DJ Lagway and the Willis offense. Robinson and Lawrence both in the backfield with him. Receiver to the right. I believe this is Holmes down here at the bottom of the screen. Lagway's going to turn. He's going to fake this one to Robinson. He's going to go across the right side. He picks up a block. Now he gets another block from his receiver. Steps out of bounds right about midfield. That's going to be a 13-yard pickup. First down and 10 for Willis. And a flag in the middle of the field.
More than likely a hold.
All right, so we got a good game there and a really good game that's at halftime right now. We have Aledo and Denton Guyer, and that one's at the half, and we'll bring in now James Tretley, who was at that game live, and that's a lead for Aledo. We actually saw them take the lead there as we did a live look-in. James, take us through your first half thoughts.
Well, you know, when you talk about the defense in both teams, that really displayed it when it came to the first quarter. If you're not a fan of defense, then you got the second quarter where the offense really took over. They had 5 straight scoring possessions for either side. It was back and forth, back and forth. We saw Aledo really respond well. Their defense looked good in the first, but so did Denton Guyers, and that's really where it came to be the difference. But back and forth match between the two.
In my opinion, I'm curious about how somebody like Logan McLaughlin is handling the pressure of taking over for somebody like Jackson Arnold, right? You replace a 5-star quarterback, the top quarterback in the class of 2023. What have you seen from him so far in this game against a team like Aledo with their prestige and their defense?
Well, I think McLaughlin is interesting because he didn't even start last week, but he really came into his own, scoring 3 touchdowns. He's really being elusive when it comes to being that kind of running quarterback. We saw that with Arnold where he could kind of do it all, and he was just a perennial force, a really big get for OU last year. Now, when you look at what McLaughlin's able to do, he's really displaying that he can fill that spot. Maybe not in the same spot where Jackson Arnold was, but McLaughlin is really coming into his own, and I think this is going to be a good season for him.
And lastly, for me, you know, a lot of people talk about Hoss Haney from Aledo, and of course he's going to be the guy that pilots this offense. But Racing Gilroy has been impressive to me, right? He's only a sophomore, and he's really, really been a big part of this team already so far. How big of a factor has he been so far, and do you kind of project seeing this season for him?
Oh, absolutely. I think he's been a big threat so far, scoring a couple touchdowns and really just being a force in what their offense needs to be. And I'll just kind of give you a preview for the second half, what it's going to be. Gilroy's going to be your guy in the second half if Aledo's going to get it done. Josiah Martin has been a huge spot in their offense when it comes to Denton Guyer. The Boston College commit has 2 big touchdowns, and they're kind of the reason that Denton Guyer is in this. Remember, Denton Guyer is a powerful 6A team that has tons of playoff experience with plenty of depth. When it comes to Aledo, they lost some guys on their defensive line, but their defense has really been a huge part. So you talked about Gilroy and what he's able to do from their run game. He's already scored a couple times. Wouldn't be surprised to see it in the second half.
All right, James, again, thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy that second half. That is a very fun matchup, Aledo and Denton Guyer. Aledo with the 23-17 lead, and he touched on it there, but Denton Guyer, that's a powerhouse 6A. Yeah. And it looks like first-year head coach Robbie Jones and this Aledo Bearcats team, they're not thinking anything of that. They're just going in and playing to their system.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's been a part of this system before, right? This is his first head coaching job, but he's been a part of it. He's seen Coach Buck do it. He's seen Coach Wood do it. He knows exactly what the standards are at Aledo, getting guys like Hoss Haney going. But again, I asked about Racing Gilroy because Aledo are a team that pride themselves on their offensive line and really controlling the tempo. Last year I said that Aledo, the most I've ever seen them in their win over College Station in the state championship, because they just physically impose themselves for the entire game. And it's because of that offensive line, but it's also because they have talent, like, as we're seeing, sophomore this year, Racine Guillory. He had 11 carries for 122 yards last week, 2 touchdowns, and also 2 catches for 70 yards receiving, right? He's going to be a huge factor. And again, somebody like Jace McClellan, when he was a freshman, made his way into the spotlight in the state at Aledo. So this isn't the first time that we're seeing an underclassman kind of really emerge and really take over kind of an experienced Aledo team and kind of make a name for themselves.
Yeah, so again, Aledo, the 23-17 lead in the halftime break against Denton Guyer. And yeah, so again, we've got a couple of really big games going on, and I believe there's another one that we have coming up here as we're, again, getting into the halftime breaks with all of these games. But we have Katy and I believe, yeah, we have
Atascocita.
Yeah. So there we go. We got Michael Silvers. I was looking for his name real quick, but Michael Silvers and Brent Moody joining us now, and that's another good matchup, as you saw Atascocita taking the lead just before halftime. And Michael, just kind of take us through your first half thoughts.
Well, thanks, guys. We've seen a very competitive game in the first half. It was 7-0 after the first. Katy got a long touchdown pass from Gunnar Nelson to Oliver Ginn, and then the two teams combined for 28 points. Katy wouldn't see the end zone again until it was a pick 6, and Atascocita's offense has really started to move the ball efficiently in the second quarter.
Yeah, really been impressed with the sophomore, Carday Mack. He's been very shifty. He picks his lanes very well, and it's been difficult for them to spot him in the backfield. And when he gets a full head of steam, he's getting up the field with ease.
Yeah, Atascocita with 228 yards of total offense in the first half. Katy limited to only 87, and they've only run a handful of plays, about 3 3-and-outs. Atascocita has turned it on in the second quarter.
I've had this game marked for them since I saw it on the early schedule for Atascocita, I should mean, because they haven't gotten over that Katy hump, right? It seems like they're always on the cusp. What would a win like this mean for Atascocita's prospects? They've been right there. They've been a playoff team. They've been a kind of a fringe state contender. But what do you think would set up this season if they were to hold on and win this one?
Well, I think it sets them up well. We were talking with Craig Stump yesterday morning and asked him, is this finally the team in 2023 that can hand Katy its first loss in this series? He's 0-8 lifetime. You go back to his Beaumont Westbrook days. He's never defeated Gary Joseph. He said to us, I don't know if this is the team. I don't know if this is the year, but I'm willing to keep trying. I think a win here tonight really sets them up for a successful season, because down the line, you know who they have in District 21 6A. They've got the North Shore Mustangs, who only went to the state championship last year.
Well, it would mean a whole lot for the seniors as well, and to have a young guy like the sophomore Carday Mack, it'll boost the team in the coming years if they can get a win here tonight against Katy.
One more half to go, fellas.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us again. That's Michael Silvers and Brent Moody on the call out there. That's going to be a really fun second half as Atascocita looking to hold on and get their first win in that series. So again, lots of fun as we are coming up on the 9 o'clock hour. We got more highlights coming up on the other side of the break. You're watching Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
All right, well, we've got tons of action throughout the state tonight as we take a look at some of those scores. Again, some of those a little bit surprising. Fort Bend Marshall 35-0 over Crosby. We got a good one that we just heard in the broadcasters, Atascocita and Katy. That's 21-14. Willis and Temple, we're going to check in just a moment. That's a 28-14 lead. As again, you got Highland Park, Louisville, Denton Guyer, Aledo, some great games. But again, let's talk about that Temple Wildcats and the Willis Wildcats game. As we'll bring in, it's Eric Folkerts on the call right now. As we'll talk to Eric. And again, thank you so much for joining us and just kind of take us through what's transpired in that first half.
Happy to be here, gentlemen. It's we came into this one expecting kind of a shootout. Wildcats, both Wildcats, Temple and Willis, scored over 50 points last week, and both have very good triggermen at quarterback. Of course, Willis starts with DJ Legway, and he had 8 touchdowns last week. Now, DJ's not been as efficient as last week. He's 15 of 21 so far with just the 1 touchdown. But Temple has been playing very sound defense against him, and they've used other avenues to score 28 points. They've got 3 rushing touchdowns, including a very impressive 56-yard touchdown run from DJ Legway. For Temple, they matched Willis score for score in the first 2 drives, but it's been the Willis defense that has stepped up and made play after play as they've stopped the Temple Wildcats offense each of the last 3 possessions.
You mentioned DJ Legway. Of course, he's going to be the one that gets a lot of the national acclaim. If people look at Willis, they're going to see his name. But I was curious. You mentioned it, that defense. What exactly have they done? Because it seemed like it's had to be the DJ Legway show for a lot of the time. This defense, if they're able to step up, that's the game changer for me as far as they're concerned. What have you seen them against this Temple offense be able to do?
Well, they've been very impressive in the fronts that they've been changing around. And the guy in the middle, Brock Perry, has just been all over the place tonight. He has 2 sacks on Cade Stewart and a couple of pass breakups. And then on the outside, Zach Lang has been very prominent on their defense. But they've been very sound. They've done a great job of helping over the top as Temple's got a lot of nice receivers of their own and a very powerful attack. But I tell you what, this kid, Brock Perry, has been all over the place tonight.
Have you? Do you expect maybe Temple and those explosive wide receivers to get a little bit of a breakthrough there in the second half?
Yeah, I expect them to. Temple's going to have the ball here to start the second half, and I think they tried right at the end. Willis brought a backup cornerback in. They threw the ball 7 straight times at him, and he finally made an interception. So I got a feeling they'll try to spread the ball around a little bit more and attack the Wildcats in a different fashion.
All right, Eric Folkert's with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy that second half, as that's a really fun game. Battle of the Wildcats, those two teams.
Exactly. All right, we talked about Wimberley last week. Of course, they had a great win over Canyon Lake, I believe. We're going to jump some highlights. They're playing San Antonio Piper here. Let's jump into it right now. Let's start in the first quarter. Backed up in their own end zone, Piper is, I should say. And Jake Straken's going to take the snap, and oh no, it's a safety. The Texans are able to collapse the quarterback, collapse the pocket, get on the board early, 2-0 lead for Doug Warren's Texans. Let's jump to the second quarter here, and again, Piper finds itself in the red zone this time. A lot more room to breathe there than in the back of the end zone. Straten's going to drop back in the shotgun here, as you see, waiting for the snap. He's going to drop back. He's going to find a wide open man. You don't even see him in the frame yet because, of course, like the Wimberley defense, looks like the camera guy forgot about him down there. He was so wide open. Brady Hooper, that would be, to walk in for a touchdown. Let's go to Cody Stover, breakout season last year. He's going to, little low snap. He's going to hit the end around it. Oh, no, it's a fumble. And Piper, are we looking at an upset here? A huge turnover in their own territory for Wimberley. Piper takes over. And let's see. We got Wimberley was able to hold on, though, 17-6. They're kicking off. Piper waits here for the kickoff. As you're going to see. And they give the ball back to Wimberley. You got the little case of the drops here in this game, it looks like. As Wimberley takes over in their territories, we go to the quad box,
the quad
including
box.
us. Wimberley has a commanding lead there over San Antonio Piper, I should say. Just like they had, not as much of a lead as they had on Canyon Lake last week, but that's a pretty big standard. I don't know if we can expect them to win those kind of games every week. But as we're seeing here, games are starting to get back to the third quarter just after halftime.
And real quick, going back to those highlights, you see a couple of fumbles kind of back to back. Is that, again, do you attribute that just kind of early season, maybe still some jitters, or not just getting the ball security down
speaking
early?
of another, we got another fumble. There's a fumble. We're jumping into the Flower Mound Marcus South Lake Carroll game, and Marcus looked like they almost dropped the ball. To your point, good timing on that.
Yeah.
To your point, early season, right? Early season stuff, trying to clean up the rust. As far as Wimberley was concerned, a little bit before on that game, before we get on this one, they were able to kind of make up for that, right?
Yeah.
They were able to kind of hold on to their lead, expand their lead, and
we got a shoe
maintain
flying
it.
There
you go.
Someone threw a shoe.
Steel, Lake Travis, still a slugfest game here. Again, this doesn't surprise me from 10-3. This doesn't surprise me from, again, we'll mention it until our eyes bleed. The third time in less than a year. They've probably thrown everything at each other, right? Coach Sines probably like, what else can I throw at Hank Carter? As you see Cibolo Steel trying to take the
they're going to the end zone
here.
now, to that corner.
It's out of bounds. Great catch, great effort, but just out of bounds. Good defense from Lake Travis too. Just let the sideline be your best defender.
That was a pretty good spot for the pass, but
let him a little too much. Just a little too much.
Well, again, and you talked about early season and just trying to nail down that timing between quarterback and wide receiver. But Lake Travis. Yeah, just let the sideline be the defense right there. Exactly. So, again, we're just getting these highlights. And how about this? Some of our live look-ins, we're getting right at the right time.
I was about to say,
there's a lot of exciting moments going.
This is shout out to everybody in the back, because this is something that this is the ideal, right? When when we came up with the concept for this show, we, as in not me and the producers, Ashley and Mallory, when they came up with the concept for the show, this was the idea that they had, right? We'll be able to listen to us talk about nonsense, but also go into games into the quad box. And Lake Travis here, almost a first down on their first play from after getting the ball back there at the bottom right screen. Yeah, this is the ideal, right? Jumping in, if there's somebody's about to score, boom, let's jump into that game. So as you're seeing, we're just going to chill here for a bit with the quad box.
Yeah, so love the quad box. So Lake Travis there, that was a turnover on downs, so they got it back. Cibolo Steel not able to take advantage. But again, we got some more highlights rolling in. Let's take a look at Chapel Hill versus Van as we got a couple of big scores from that game. We take you in just early on in the opening quarter, and this is going to be a play action, and how about this bomb? 45 yards inside the 10. That's Demetrius Brisbane. We saw a lot of his stuff last week. He connects with Dylan Johnson that time. 45 yards to set up Chapel Hill. And how about this? Just a couple of plays later, a bit of a high snap, able to reel it in, and an easy touchdown as Ricky Stewart barrels into the end zone to get Chapel Hill on the board. A very early start for the Bulldogs as we take a look again in the first. How about Van? They move it right down the field as they waste no time. And that's going to be a quarterback draw into the end zone as they take the lead 7-6 early in the first quarter. And how about this? Demetrius Brisbane. We talked about him a lot last week. This is a designed quarterback run, getting to the sideline and able to make a couple of guys miss. Into the end zone. How about that? Demetrius Brisbane from inside of his own territory. What a run by the quarterback, showing it off with the legs that time. And, well, hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Go to him again. Another designed quarterback run for Brisbane, this time 53 yards as Chapel Hill taking a 23-14 lead. But, I mean, again, how about Demetrius Brisbane doing it through the air with that 45-yard bomb on the first highlight we saw there, and then a couple of designed quarterback runs to get him into the open field.
Yeah, I mean, him and Ricky Stewart, if Chapel Hill has both those guys or one of those guys, they're gonna have a chance to win. I will say credit to Van, they're right there, right?
Yeah,
23-14, right?
And they're able to march it down in pretty quick fashion as well on their first drive of the game. As again, we take a look, we got Atascocita and Katy back into action as Atascocita trying to get a big win against the Katy Tigers. We have Denton Geyer and Aledo back to action. That's a fun one. That Aledo team going into the big powerhouse. Denton Geyer 6A, lots of playoff experience, and Aledo right now not only hanging with them.
Lead looks like.
Yeah, they're taking the lead. Not only hanging with them, but they've taken the lead.
Oh no, sorry, it's a one-touchdown lead.
Yeah,
sorry, my glasses failed me.
Yeah, we'll go into the live look in on that
no
game, and that one
downfield.
on Champion Sports Radio.
Running downfield, Hawk lost his footing, fell down about the 50-yard line, and there's just nobody down there for Haas to throw it to. So he does a smart thing, gets rid of the ball, and give yourself a chance on a third down.
And, there you can see where he's the senior, and, nothing against McLaughlin. Maybe he looks at it and says, maybe I have to do something, and that's where experience counts and just repetition in the sport.
Yeah, just you don't want to give up a turnover in that situation. It was a smart play by Haas in that situation.
3rd and 14 at the 31-yard line, have to get to the 45. Haney to throw, stands in the pocket, wants to look to the right, now fires over the middle, caught and then dropped by Caden Finley at midfield. He had it was a little bit behind him, but still catchable, and he took a shot right at midfield, and he's down on the field, and actually he might have twisted his ankle, but he is down, and the Aledo training staff comes out, headed by Troy Little, to take a look at it. But he was really in a position where he kind of had to become a little bit of a contortionist on that. It was behind him. He had to come down, and I guess when he came down is when he kind of tweaked the ankle there.
Yeah, he looks like he's in a good amount of pain there. It's a really good throw by Haas. He sit a little bit behind Caden there, but it's a great player on this team. You just hope this isn't serious.
Well, Mercedes will obviously check on that and let us know what's going on as Robbie Jones comes out to check on it. We'll take this quick timeout, where the Bearcats are tending to the sophomore wide receiver, Caden Finley. Bearcats leading 23-17, about to punt, and you're listening to Bearcats football on 92.1 Hank FM.
Yeah, and again, 92.1 Hank FM on the call. Aledo in the lead over Denton Geyer right now. So, again, Aledo coming into Denton. They've got a pretty good start as they're just into the third quarter. Again, big shout out to the guys at 92.1 Hank FM on the call for that game.
Yep, we got some more highlights rolling in, though. Let's go down to the Houston area. Cy Park taking on Cy Fair. If you're a Texas fan, you may want to pay attention to some of these highlights. We got Trey Owens here. Let's start in the first quarter. Cy Fair quarterback Trey Owens, a Texas commit. He's in the shotgun, going to go to senior wideout Owen Carter. Look at that nice little lofted pass, perfectly in the breadbasket. Cy Fair up 7-0 early. Doesn't get much easier than that if you're a FBS Power 5 future quarterback. Let's go back. Trey Owens again. He's in the shotgun, going to show off a lot of them fundamentals here. This is good tape. We might see this on his signing day video as well. Right here, he's going to be a perfect pocket, by the way. Right, oh my God, right on a rope to Connor Porter, put Cy Fair up 14-0 second quarter. Let's stick it here in the second quarter because Cy Park says, you know what, we got to get on the board. Dion Batiste is going to go. You don't see a lot of throws out of the flexbone package, but a perfect screen setup to Connor King. Whew, my goodness, look at that blocking, but also some individual effort there, 55 yards, almost Almost, he got it. He did. That's a touchdown to put Cy Park on the board after going down 21-0. Thank goodness for that score because they needed that. But it's the Trey Owens show, looks like right now. We're going to stick in the second quarter just before halftime. Owens again steps up in the pocket. Look at these rainbow throws, perfectly placed right there. That's Charin Davis, 34 yards out the backfield, the running back, showing off the hands. Cy-Fair, 28-7 right now. That was at the half. I mean, again, if you're a Texas fan, you're loving that, right? If you're like, oh my God, I can't wait for that guy to get on campus and in the quarterback room. So that's one of the games going on as well. We'll have more highlights throughout the rest of this show. But yeah, Cy-Fair looking pretty good.
Again, you talk about the protection that he has too. I mean, he's so much time and space.
Line and pass pro. As we jump back in here to Lake Travis,
yeah, they're marching down. So again, when we last looked, Cibolo still, is that an interception? Oh,
no, it hit the ground almost.
Yeah, they turned it over on downs, and Lake Travis took over deep inside of their own territory, and now they're knocking on the door to try and expand their lead in the third quarter, just at the, looks like maybe just outside the 20. But yeah, Lake Travis trying to take another touchdown there as, again, we keep moving around. Aledo still on top of Denton Geyer as they're controlling the football, as they're trying to get toward the midfield, rather, and then Atascocita and Katy, that one still at a 21-14 lead. That's Atascocita took the lead in the final minute of the first half in that contest, as they have the ball in plus territory right now, so they're trying to double their lead perhaps with a touchdown and then really try and make Katy sweat a little bit there in the second half.
I was about to say, both games on the right there, because we jump into Katy, Atascocita.
There we go.
Oh my goodness, that's a huge run. That's Torrey Blaylock right there with an incredible show of physical strength right there. But I was saying, both these games, teams in the lead looking to take a more commanding lead potentially. Of course, you mentioned Lake Travis near the red zone as well. I mean, Torrey Blaylock. I mean, again, Atascocita, they just have, it seems like every year, they seem to have more and more guys that I'm like, I got to keep track of this guy. Like Zion Brown is of course one of them, a quarterback, but Torrey Blaylock, Nate Kibble at the offensive line, they always seem to punch in offensive linemen forward to the next level. As you see, Geyer looks like Geyer just scored
a touchdown, so they're looking to take the lead with the extra point.
Oh man, again, this is what we wanted, right? This is exactly what we wanted when we thought of this, is just scores, and flipping over to games as we jump into Katy Atascocita again. Let's see a screen pass there. Yeah, I believe that's a replay of the play that just happened, but still, Atascocita, I also like this. They're playing kind of a clock control game, right? They're not necessarily going for the deep shots. As we see, did they block?
Oh, I feel like we got a blocked extra point
did we
all
get
the way back.
A two-pointer?
I think so.
Maybe.
They blocked the extra point attempt, and they took it all the way back, so Geyer with a chance to make it 24-23 with the extra point. It's blocked, taken the other way, and Aledo right back on top. So
a three-point swing. You thought you were going up by one, now you're down by two.
Yeah, so Aledo, again, we heard from James during halftime that they came in, the big 6A powerhouse, Denton Geyer and Aledo coming in. And right there, they yield the touchdown, but hey, they're creative and they're able to get back on top very quickly with the 2 points on the blocked extra point. And how
Blaylock again, oh my goodness.
Bouncing off, guys. Oh no, but the ball is out, and there is 3 white and red jerseys all over it.
Ooh, there's no question who got that. That's Katy ball.
That is a tough break, looking to go up 2 scores. Bouncing off a couple of tackles, and
looked like they just got a hand in there and was able to jar it loose.
So Katy taking advantage.
If you're Atascocita, that's just like you just feel snake bit, right? You're about to go up 2 scores. Like, okay, this is the game where we take advantage and we really put our foot down.
Just talking about playing the clock management, keeping the Katy offense off of the field, and right there the turnover, and get back to this one. Highland Park with a 2-score advantage. How about this? Well, maybe not. Able to avoid
it looked like it was setting up something cool.
It looked like. My mistake on that one, but we've been talking about a couple, of legendary coaches throughout the night, and of course we look at the most winningest program at Highland Park. I mean, 876 wins, 6 state championships, and of course, I mean, a lot of that you can chalk up to the guy at the helm, Randy Allen, who has been the face of Highland Park for, well, you look right there, 42 seasons.
I was about to say, he's the winningest active coach right now. He has a chance to move up a little bit. Second all-time in wins with 436. I mean, just behind Phil Danaher, the retired Phil Danaher of Corpus Christi Calallen. And yeah, like I said, longest tenured head coach, 42 years active, and still wears that exact same outfit. That might be a live shot of the sideline right now. Who knows? Still wearing that exact same outfit as Louisville now takes the ball over. Again, another team that's looking to kind of get over a hump and really kind of show what they're about. Highland Park, they had a great stop with stopping Highland Park from extending this lead. Now they're near midfield, and again, guys like Ethan Terrell, guys like Vance Walker, they need to be able to kind of take that next step and against a program like a Highland Park, right? We just rattled off every stat in the book, right? The winningest program of all time. Every time the Rams play, we got to know that Matthew Stafford and Clayton Kershaw went there, right? But now it's a chance right here, as we see.
Getting to the outside.
End around.
There's a flag, though.
Yeah, it might be coming back.
Yeah, believe so. But yeah, I mean, that's a Louisville team where, I mean, they put up 50 last week against Nauman Forest, but, you know, trying to do it against a substantial program like Highland Park, again, I think that one might be coming back, though. Yeah. But, you know, they're staying in it. They're staying in it in the third quarter.
One more crazy stat about Highland Park. They've only lost once at home to a Texas team since 1998.
Oh, my goodness.
1998, right? A lot of the people working behind the scenes here were not born then. So what was that?
Do you happen to have which team beat them last
I do not have which team beat them, which is exposing my research. No,
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But regardless, yeah, that's just another notch in their cap.
Well, they're looking to keep that going. They're up 21 to, they got a lead right now against Louisville. So again, the highlights keep rolling in. We're getting into the final part of a lot of these games, so stick with us. We've got all the action right here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. More live look-ins and highlights coming up after the break.
There's only one state in the nation with 13 Division I FBS programs, and there's only one podcast that talks about every single one of them. Introducing the Dave Campbell's Republic of Football podcast, the most complete coverage of the Lone Star State. Join host Ishmael Johnson, Carter Yates, and Mallory Hartley live on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. for the biggest news and weekly previews on all Texas FBS programs. Can't catch every college football game on Saturdays? We've got you covered with recap episodes Sunday mornings with senior writer Mike Craven checking in. Subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple. Strap in with your host Ishmael Johnson, producer Mallory Hartley, senior writer Mike Craven, and college writer Carter Yates for a ride that'll last from now throughout the season.
Need your daily football fix? Look no further than Texas Football Today, the daily live show from the people that bring you Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Every weekday at noon, Greg Tepper and Ashley Pickle bring you the latest news, deep dive analysis, insightful interviews with big-name guests, and more. And if you ever miss an episode, you can subscribe to the Texas Football Today podcast to keep up with all the fun. Don't miss Texas Football Today every weekday at noon at texasfootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and subscribe to Texas Football Today wherever you get your podcasts. Nobody covers Texas high school football like Tep and Step, the premium high school football podcast from Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Dig deep into the sport in every corner of the state with high school football insider Matt Stepp and managing editor Greg Tepper, with game previews, unique insights, and bold predictions. Get Tep and Step by becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber at texasfootball.com/subscribe.
We might not be good at many things, but there is one thing that we crushed, and that's naming a stinking podcast. WTF. Yes, it's exactly what you're thinking. Women talking football. Oh, you thought it meant something else? You might be right. Tune in every Thursday at 2 p.m. as me, Ashley Pickle, and everyone's favorite Mal pal, Mallory Hartley, bring you in-depth analysis of every region of the Lone Star State, talk ball with reporters across Texas, get the real scoop from coaches' wives, and all the other nonsense that comes along with the two of us being allowed to talk into a microphone. Join the party Thursdays at 2 o'clock on the Dave Campbell's Texas Football YouTube page.
Welcome back to Texas Football Tonight, and will you look at that? 11 state titles for Aledo, 8 for Coach Tim Buchanan, 3 for Coach Steve Wood. First time in a long time that neither of those gentlemen will be on the sidelines. Nick, what can you say about that?
Yeah, it's just the first time since 1992 that someone other than Tim Buchanan or Steve Wood has been at the helm of this Aledo Bearcats team as we take a look at the first-year head coach, Robbie Jones.
A new era, the Robbie Jones era.
Right.
How cool is this?
It's pretty cool. You know, it's something that I've wanted to do for a while, but of course, you know, we've had Buck and Wood, you know, sitting there in front of me. I thought about going other places, but, you know, there's no better place than Aledo.
And we just watched Aledo win yet another state championships, 24-16 over the Klein Wildcats. Aledo, they're pretty good at this football thing.
Yeah, Matt, these plucky upstarts from Aledo, I think they might be going places.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think they might have a chance to win a few more state titles.
They really made a dent in the history books with this one as they become the first program ever in Texas high school football history to grab 9 championships. History was just made as Aledo wins their 10th title in school history.
I think we just watched the most Aledoing of Aledo I think we've ever Aledoed.
Yeah, Aledo went full Aledo today.
52-14, by the way, 5A D1 over College Station, becoming the first team to win 11 in UIL history to win 11 state titles.
Remind me and kind of walk me through this journey. When did you begin at Aledo?
In 2000, I took a job in Aledo. I was coming from Monday, Texas, and my brother was at Aledo, so that was my in with the program. And I took a freshman job. I was the freshman offensive coordinator, freshman O-line, D-line coach, and was assisting with the varsity offensive line. And after 1 year, Buck said, hey, I'm going to move you up to the defensive tackles job. So I was a defensive tackles coach for 3 years. Then I told him, I said, I'm getting kind of bored with the defensive tackles. And we had a coaching change going on, and Coach Wood was moving from linebackers back into the secondary.
Okay.
So I moved to the linebackers for about 3 years. And then at one point I said, hey, I want to be a coordinator, but I know Coach Wood's here, but we keep changing offensive coordinators. I said, I want to move over to the offensive side. And so I guess it was in 2007, I moved over to the offensive side of the ball as the running backs coach and co-coordinator.
What a great time to take over as running backs coach.
Yeah, that wasn't a bad move, was it?
Not at all. You had some fun years following that.
Right, and then our offensive coordinator left after the 08 season, and I went to Buck and I said, hey, look, I want to take over the play calling duties. I said, you know, we've been to the semifinals several times, you know, and I'm tired of other people determining whether or not I have a chance to win a state championship. I want to start calling the plays. And he let me start calling the plays in 2009. And, you know, the rest is history. After that first state championship, you know, I was in the dressing room with Buck, and he goes, well, how does it feel to be the offensive coordinator of the state champions? And I was like, Coach, I was expecting to feel a little bit more joy, but it's more relief than it was joy. He goes, yeah. He goes, you know, it's about, you know, not losing the game. You know, it's not so much the winning that, you know, makes you feel good. It's, hey, we've got to the end and we've got it accomplished. You know, and so it was kind of like that, you know, every year. You know, and it's gotten to the point where, you know, and I tell the people around Aledo, I said, look, we don't even celebrate district championships anymore. I said, we got to start celebrating wins, you know, and make it a big deal, you know, because, yeah, you know, it's become, oh, we've done this before, you know, and it's not always the case, and we got to remind ourselves of that.
What do you think makes you different from Steve and Tim?
The main thing is, you know, I'm more offensive-minded. You know, both of those guys were really defensive-minded guys. You know, Coach Buck was a defensive coach when he was a position coach. And then Coach Wood, of course, he's one of the best defensive coordinators in the state of Texas has ever seen. You know, but I think me being more of an offensive-minded guy might be a little bit of a difference. You know, I'm a little bit more laid back. I don't talk as much as those two guys do. Coach Wood had the good old country boy, you know, everybody liked to hear him talk about his, you know, he speaks
They were very different.
Yeah.
They were very different.
And Coach Buck, he can talk circles around anybody, you know, and I'm not that way.
Wind him up, let him go, right?
Exactly. He's got a story, you know, for everything, you know, and I'm not a great storyteller.
If we, you know, dig farther back, who is a coach in your life that really had a profound effect on who you are here sitting today?
Yeah, it'd probably be my dad. You know, my dad was a coach. My dad, he similar to what I'm doing, he followed up G.A. Moore twice. He was one of G.A. Moore's assistants in Salina in the early 70s. And when G.A. left Salina in 76, I was a little kid back then, somewhere around there, my dad took over in Salina. And then when I was about to be a freshman in 86, we were coming to Pilot Point from Maypearl, and Dad was going to take an assistant's job there with G.A., but G.A. in the middle of the summer left and went to Sherman. And so my dad took over for G.A. again.
How did he do that? I'm just thinking like G.A. Moore. He's replacing G.A. Moore.
Twice,
like,
and now,
twice?
and
yeah,
now
exactly.
I'm replacing Tim Buchanan. So, you know, it's kind of a similar, you know, type of situation.
Full circle.
And I saw, you know, how my dad handled some of those situations, and so I'm going to have to do some of the similar things that my dad did.
And how did your dad handle those?
He tried to handle them the best he could, you know, without getting upset, you know, because G.A. was a legend, you know, kind of like Tim is a legend. And, you know, the people of Pilot Point worshipped him and would say, well, G.A. didn't do things that way. And, well, I'm the new head coach. This is the way I'm going to do things. And so I'm going to have to do, you know, things similar, you know. That's not the way Coach Buchanan did. I said, well, Coach Buchanan's not the coach anymore. I'm the coach.
Oh, yeah, so we're taking a live look in right now is Atascocita and Katy, and that's an acrobatic catch right there for the touchdown.
Oh, was it a touchdown? No, it just oh, no, it dropped. It dropped right there.
Oh, no, he dropped it.
Very,
my mistake.
Good defense there from Atascocita. I mean, look, I believe that was a scoop and score that Atascocita, I was on Twitter, that Atascocita took the lead on. Katy was about to, I don't know exactly how close they were, but it was a scoop and score touchdown for the defense for Atascocita.
Yeah, again, when we last looked in, that's when Atascocita fumbled it on the, you know, toward the goal line, but they got it back, scoop and score. Let's take it live on the call.
Judah is the only receiver. Split out to the bottom of your screen. Here's Jordan. And with second and third and fourth effort, he's got the first down at the Atascocita 9. A gain of 5 and the first third down conversion for Katy tonight. First and goal to go from the 9 of the Eagles.
All right, well, again, Atascocita, the scoop and score, but Katy threatening in the final minute or so of that third quarter. And we'll bring back the quad box. My favorite segment, America's favorite segment.
I was about to say, we'll see a lot more of this as we enter the last 30 minutes of the show.
So, again, we got Lake Travis, Cibolo Steel. That's a 17-10 score. Lake Travis in the lead. And then, of course, we saw Denton Geyer and Aledo. Looks like Denton Geyer reclaimed the lead. As when we last checked in there, they took a touchdown to tie the game, block extra points, scoop, and score the other way for Aledo, 2 points. But it looks like Denton Geyer back on top. And, again, that's been going back and forth all night long. As again, we're keeping an eye, Katy and Atascocita.
Katy lining up in that patented I formation. See if
we'll
we can
take you
punch
live
in the
right
end zone.
there. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
rolling
roll
out
out
over to the near side
touchdown.
and wide open.
Look at that. They had about 3 options there to throw the ball to.
That's beautiful. The perfect time to go to the play action. And yeah, like you said,
look at this right here.
And here we go. Here's Aledo moving right back in toward the corner. That might be it.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be just short. Looks like just short, about the 1 yard line. Looks like they're marking him.
So yeah, Denton Geyer, a 29-25 lead, but Aledo threatening again.
And if you are interested in this game, of course, I'll plug it again.
There we go.
TexasFootball.com. Go to subscribe, or TexanLive.com. You can subscribe. You should see a big red button. If
Can't
you're not
miss it.
already,
Can't miss it.
If you're not already if you're not already a subscriber, if you want to jump into this Aledo Denton Geyer game in full, right? You get tired of listening to us talk about it. You're able to subscribe, and $20 a year, and that's it. You can jump into this game, watch it again tomorrow, and it'll be on demand.
Katy just with a field goal right there, so they narrow the margin a little bit there. Let's take a look, though. We got a good game brewing. It's Melissa and China Spring as we take a look at some of those highlights as, again, we get these games rolling and rolling. Let's start you off in the first quarter. Why not? It's going to be the Melissa quarterback, Trevor Ham. Takes the snap near midfield, and how about this? That's a deep strike rolling in, and that is a touchdown early on for Melissa. That's a nice tight rope catch right there. Melissa with the 7-0 lead, and they're able to get the snap off, and how about that? That's another just jump ball, as that's Trevor Ham just kind of throwing it up and letting his receivers make the grab. It's 14-0 at that point, Melissa. And we jump ahead into the second, 28-0 Melissa. And how about this, just barreling through? That's Cash McCollum as he takes the snap for China Spring, and he's able to roll right and barrel his way through. That made it 28-7 at this point. It's 35-7, and how about this? That's another nice play for McCollum, this time through the air, as he's able to survey and then finding a nice catch and touchdown right there. At that point, it is a 42-28 lead for Melissa over China Spring, but a couple of nice plays. And again, how about Cash McCollum there on that touchdown run for the quarterback, just kind of bodying a couple of guys. He doesn't care. He'll take the contact.
Right, as we see Aledo looking here to punch the ball. Punch it in here, as looks like they're about to take a timeout here. Yeah, looks like they're just huddling up.
Yeah, we're going to go to the announcers. We'll take you right in. That's 92.1 Hank FM on the call as Aledo threatening again.
So second and goal, same formation. Guillory stands behind Haney, double tight ends, and the give is to Guillory over the right side, and he has stood up. In fact, he is thrown for a loss back at the 2-yard line. Great surge by that defensive front by the Wildcats on the defense. And now the Bearcats on a third and goal. They're going to push it back to the 3-yard line. So it's actually it's back to the 2. So it's a third and goal at the 2.
Yeah, and you got to believe Aledo in this situation. This is probably 4-down territory.
The ginormous package makes its first appearance of the night. Devon Keys in the backfield. At the 2.5, the give us to Keys over the left side. Squirts his way through. Touchdown, Aledo Bearcats. Because all he does is score touchdowns.
Apparently, great job there by DJ Williams and Peyton Williams on the left side.
All right, here we go. Lake Travis, Cibolo Steel in the fourth quarter. It's a 1-score game.
Looks like it's a timeout here.
Yeah. So Lake Travis threatening. They're trying to grow their lead. All right. Yeah, they're coming down. They're coming down to the wire. A couple of these.
Yeah.
We'll take another quick look. But Fort Bend Marshall, 56-7 over Crosby. We had another score that we were looking at earlier. Oh, maybe not. No. Oh, maybe not. We'll stay in the quad box. Why not? Hey, if I ever have a chance to stay with the quad box, let's stick with that. So again, Aledo just punching it in for a touchdown. They reclaimed their lead. That's a bit of a timeout there. We got Lake Travis, Cibolo Steel. Lake Travis with it. And all right, hey, there we go. Let's get back into some highlights. So again, we were looking at Spring and North Shore a little bit earlier on as North Shore was rolling. We got some highlights from the second half as Spring just trying to get anything going, and that defense for North Shore disrupting, and that's going to be a loss of 4. And so North Shore, of course, they're putting up gaudy numbers offensively, but their defense coming up, and especially this defensive line, coming up in a big way in this game tonight. As we saw the 4-yard loss on that previous highlight right here, you have Spring trying to get something going in North Shore territory, and you just can't run into the teeth of that North Shore defense, and you just run into that big red wall. As that's a 48-0 lead now for North Shore over Spring. But again, that defensive line for North Shore right there, they're pretty stout to run against.
Oh yeah, 100%. Let's stick to the Houston area as we're going to go to Cy Ranch and Katy. Pato, going on right now. Second half highlights. Let's start in the third quarter. We're going to see, let's see. Oh, look, Katy Pato lining up. Big year for them potentially. Look at this, right? Nothing normal, nothing abnormal happened. Just kidding, it's a highlight, which means something has to happen. It's a huge sack for Cy Ranch. Cy Ranch now, we're going to go the next drive. They're forced to punt. And again, look, nothing normal, just a normal punt, right?
Yeah.
Just kidding. No, this is a highlight package. Something has to happen. Muffs the kick, but he gets it off anyway. And oh no, he bobbles it. Oh! Down, Cy Ranch, another big play for them to get the ball in their
mean
territory.
to angle it like that?
Yeah, that was a little bit something right there. All right, let's go to that ensuing drive. Freshman quarterback Braden Baker, takes it from a few yards out. It's 17-0 right now. Cy Ranch. A little bit of a, I won't say a shocker, but a little bit of an interesting statement right there from Cy Ranch.
Now, they were shut out last week, 31-0, and so they're trying to bounce back in a big way as, again, we're taking a look as Atascocita and Katy looked like that ball was on the ground. Maybe they whistled it down, but that just a one-score game into the fourth as we go back to Lake Travis and Cibolo Steele. Here's a run up the middle trying to barrel his way through. It's a massive humanity.
Steele is holding on to that deficit right now. They're only down one score, and they're trying to make sure it stays one score.
It was a good effort right there to keep Lake Travis out of the end zone for the moment. Then, we'll go ahead and take you live on the call. That's the horn bringing you the action.
Go by two possessions, or they
sticks
can
are
try to
all the way
pound
back
it in.
by the fence.
I think that's
All
what
right,
they're
fourth
going
and
to
goal.
do. Either that or try to draw
Cavaliers
them
can
off
kick a
sides.
field goal and go up by two
Possessions, or they could try to pound it in.
Fourth
I think that's what
and
they're going to
one
try to do. Either
from
that or try to
the
draw them off
three.
sides.
All right, again, we apologize for that, but we'll keep it right here because we like to talk. We like to talk. All right, so Lake Travis with possession here, again, trying to go up 2 scores, and we're going to get another timeout.
Caden Leone, Lake Travis has a lineage of quarterbacks. Caden Leone, the newest guy to kind of take over there for Hank Carter's program. It seems, they're like Highland Park, probably more on a more consistent scale. They're pumping out quarterbacks Division I left and right. Caden Leone, I would not be surprised if this play kind of involves his legs a little bit to maybe get them going, because this is a big score. Steele's gonna want to hold them to a field goal, or if Lake Travis decides to go for it, right, they're gonna want to hold and maintain that one-score deficit, I should say. But Lake Travis can kind of put their foot on the gas a little bit with the score here.
All right, hey, we got some more highlights for you. Why not? And that's my favorite. Well, I don't know. Quad box.
I was about to say quad. You're
good.
just throwing the quad box on the bus.
That's 1A and 1B right there. But hey, let's go. Silsbee and Huffman. We got some more highlights for you here on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Tonight. We take it to the third quarter. That's a 20-0 Silsbee lead. A little bit of time now trying to work through, and the defense able to get there, as that is Gary White and Garen Crosby combined for the sack later in the third quarter, as the Silsbee defense coming up. There's a deflection, interception to the house, as that is Caleb Gaines completing the tip drill and returns it for the interception. 27-0 Silsbee, as we take you back to Denton Guyer. Aledo 31-29 in the third quarter, but now Denton Guyer maybe trying to get a little bit of tempo going as they're near midfield.
Yeah, as we mentioned, Logan McLaughlin taking over at Denton Guyer. This is a big drive for him against a state champion defense. It's coming down, I don't want to say coming down to the wire, they're still in third quarter, but a big drive regardless, trying to keep up, because every time Denton Guyer's taken the lead, Aledo's been able to respond, and can they keep this momentum going and kind of make sure keep Aledo kind of on their back foot.
Now again, we'll take you back, 92.1 Hank FM on the call, Denton Guyer and Aledo. But why not? We'll bring it back to the quad box. Quad box, baby. Quad box, all right. Let's see. We got Lake Travis and Cibolo Steele. That
Looks like another timeout going on there.
That one's still kind of in pause. All right, let's go back. Denton Guyer and Aledo.
Nice decision to tuck and run there.
.44, maybe about a half yard short. He's right there, but it'll be third down and less than a buck coming up, as the Wildcats want to go tempo with the tight end on the left-hand side. Youssef stands to the right. He'll get the carry. Big running room. First down inside the 35. Gets to about the 32-yard line, and a penalty marker comes in on a late hit by Jake Gillespie coming in. So they're going to tack on 15 yards following that 15-yard carry there. And so not good for the Bearcats here. Not only does, on the third and short play, does he get a big carry, does Yusuf, but then the Bearcats are penalized on the late hit, and that'll be an automatic first down.
You just got to be smarter.
All right, let's take you back to Lake Travis and Cibolo Steel. Looks like Lake Travis trying for the field goal. Good snap, good hold, and the kick is good. So Lake Travis moving to a 20-10 lead. So they're up by 2 scores now in the fourth quarter. So that's a close game right there. And we got some more highlights for you here coming up on Dave Campbell's Texas football tonight. Flower Mound, Lake Highlands, as this is a run, trying to stretch it out. That's Deontay Dean able to use the stiff arm, powers his way into the end zone, and that gets Lake Highlands back in the game as we get into the third quarter. Lake Highlands, again, down by a couple of scores, trying to make something happen. Here is a throw to the end zone, and it's intercepted. As that's a big play by the Lake Highland defense, got the interception, but right there you saw still down by quite a bit as Denton Geyer just able to punch it in as they reclaim the lead in the third. So again, we're getting to this chaotic moment of the night where we're getting down to the wire, and Denton Geyer marches down in quick order and gets the touchdown. They're back on top of Aledo in the third.
Yeah, let's take a look at, let's get back to the DFW area, right? Let's go with Cedar Hill, Arlington, Martin. We're going to jump back into there. We jumped in earlier. We're going to jump in the third quarter. It's going to be Kieran Stewart here for Cedar Hill. He's going to take it right up, and he's almost, and did he get it? Yes, he did. He punched the ball. All you got to do is poke that ball across the line, put Cedar Hill up 20-0. Big, big game for them. Again, a battle of 2 new head coaches for both programs. Let's take it back. Still 21-0. Jalen Thomas is going to drop back here in the face of pressure. Doesn't matter. Gets it off to LaKeldrick Bridges. He avoids being tackled for the touchdown. Commanding lead now for Cedar Hill. A massive performance from them against Arlington Martin, shutting him out so far. 28-0. As we see here, Atascocita, speaking of big games, back to the Houston area, Atascocita could potentially put another big staple in this game. Again, they're 0-5 against Katy. Craig Stump's 0-8 in his career against Coach Gary Joseph. They need to go up 2 scores here with 8 minutes to go. 27-21, Atascocita with the ball. As we see Zion Brown, quarterback Zion Brown in the huddle. We see a timeout. We got the chess game going on. When we get in the red zone, I feel like everybody just decides to use 20 timeouts. Yeah. And so it's just like we got to make sure. Do they know their defense? We'll come back to that one. Do we know what defense they're running? Do we know what play we're running? Is it right? Is it right? They show each other the cards, and then they go back and call timeout. So as you're seeing, Willis at the bottom left, Willis and Temple. Willis looking really kind of commanding right now. Temple's hanging around.
It really hasn't changed since we checked in at halftime.
Temple's
field goal for
around.
Temple, but yeah.
And of course, we got Lake Travis Cibolo Steel still. As we mentioned, that was a 10-point lead now. Yeah. And of course, looks like Atascocita is coming back out. Probably come back into this one pretty soon, lining back up because they know. I mean, this. I'm curious to see what play they have because they know this could be a double-digit lead with 8 minutes to go against Katy. That's something. That's pretty seismic right there.
Again, you said they had the scoop and score earlier in the second half.
That's going to be something that we're going to look back on. If they go on to win this game, that's kind of the shifting moment probably for them.
They're inside the 5 right now with 8:24 to go. A 6-point lead. And we'll see what they drew up.
I think Zion Brown's got to use his legs here, in my opinion, in some fashion.
All right, we'll take it right to the call.
Untouched for the touchdown. As they capitalize on the interception and go back up by 2 touchdowns.
All right, so there you hear Michael Silvers, Brett Moody on the call as Atascocita up by 2 scores as they stretch it out over on that near side and able to find the end zone. It looks like they're going to go for 2. Yeah. But yeah, they're up by a couple of scores, so that is big. We got some action over in the Lake Travis game. We got a flag thrown as that ball out of play. And then Aledo with the ball now after Denton Geyer reclaimed the lead there in the third.
Yeah, the decision to go for 2 here, obviously you go up by 8 instead of 7, right? So you can make Katy kick a few. That was a great play call right there.
There we go.
Gets hit at the goal line, but doesn't matter. Still able to go in. Yeah, now they're up 8. Now Katy has to go for 2. Now has to go for 2 and kind of puts them in a big position, even if they're able to drive all the way down the field. Or sorry, they're up by 9, I should say. Double digits, or 2 scores, I should say. And so now Katy can't just go down and be within a touchdown and a 2-point conversion of being in the game. They got to go and they got to hope for another turnover or kind of an onside kick or something now. So smart decision, aggressive decision by Coach Stump. I feel like a lot of teams, a lot of coaches would have said, you know what, let's take the extra point. Trust our defense to kind of hold them and see what happens. But he's kind of putting their fortune in their own basket, I think.
Couple of turnovers forced by that Atascocita defense so far as we'll take you back. Denton Geyer and Aledo as, again, we got 92.1 Hank FM on the call.
Went for 40 yards, so it's a 10-yard penalty. So rather than giving up what could have been perhaps like a 55, 60-yarder, it's only a 10-yard penalty, which advances the ball to the 27-yard line. Bearcats down by 1 touchdown in this game. Davis to Gillard, trapped in the backfield, dropped for a loss back at the 25-yard line, rather. It's a 2-yard loss, rather. And so it'll be 2nd down and 12 coming up for the Bearcats.
You know, the Geyer defensive line, they've done a good job the second half. You know, Guillory's gotten some yards, but most of it's been outside the tackle box. They've done a really good job up the middle, kind of limiting the Bearcats' success on the ground.
It wouldn't be first down without it going backwards.
No.
It's not been a good down for them tonight on first down. Swing out pass to Daniels, catches it out the outside, makes a cut upfield across the 30, secures the football, gets it to about the 32-yard line, and it'll be a 7-yard pickup. So it'll be 3rd down and call it about 5 for the Bearcats, needing to get to the 37.
Yeah, and you got a situation here where you're almost out at the end of the 3rd quarter. You're down a score. You got to try to find a way to extend this drive, get some points.
Bearcats on 3rd down tonight, 4 of 8. Power pistol formation, 2 receivers to the near side. Play action for Haney, who rolls the pocket a little bit to the right, being chased, fires it downfield into coverage, and it is caught! Trace Clarkson at the Geyer 37-yard line. How did he come up with that ball? One-handed.
Outstanding catch by Trace Clarkson there. Able to reach one hand around the receiver, somehow catch the ball and hold on to it to extend the drive for first down. There was nothing there. He wasn't the primary receiver. They were trying to run a wheel route on the backside. It was covered. He was able to just make a play there and extend the drive.
41 yards, a Railhead Smokehouse in Willow Park first down. The Bearcats back in Geyer territory at the 37 as we roll toward the 42nd mark of this 3rd quarter. Geyer 37, Aledo 31. Glad you're with us. Heck of a ball game here tonight at the Collins Complex. Play action, Haney to throw, rolls to the right, wants to find a man, now throws it downfield once again, and it's overfired on everybody, so incomplete there. McCoy was the closest man.
Here we go. There's Katy and Atascocita. Is Atascocita up 35-21? But here we go. It's a big run from midfield, and he's pushed in. It's a touchdown.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, what I just said, that it was good move not putting this in the hands, just saying, oh, yeah, we're just going to kick the make sure that you have the chance. Yeah, oh, my God. Like, Katy's not going to go away, right? Like, Katy's going to have their best shot every single time.
When we checked in, there was about 8 minutes left in that game, and then Katy wasting no time. And how about this one? A little bit surprising is Melissa kind of rolling over China Spring. That is a 49-27 lead.
Yeah, they also, I believe they beat Argyle 50-14 last week. So 2 back-to-back wins. This is a 5A over a 4A, right? China Spring's kind of playing up there in their classification. But, I mean, still, regardless, a pretty big statement win from Melissa after last week's blowout win over Argyle, another top-ranked team in 5A, I should say. Opening up a new stadium out there, Melissa, as well. Like, things are kind of pretty hot right now for the Cardinals.
Bring you back to the Denton Geyer Aledo. We just saw an amazing one-handed grab to get Aledo into the red zone. as they're threatening again in the third. And we'll go back to Melissa China Spring, 55-27.
Yeah, just punched in a score here, and they're looking, I can't remember the last time China Spring probably gave up this many points.
Yeah. Sonoe, Melissa, 56-27. They're rolling as we take it back over toward the DFW area. We got a good game, Hebron and Wiley, as we take a look at a couple of those highlights now. We take you for a spot in the fourth quarter. Hebron, a 13-7 lead. Here's a nice little 25-yard catch and run for Jackson Draper into the end zone as Wiley makes it a close game, 16-14. Still in the fourth. How about Wiley again over a 25-yard pass down to the 1-yard line, was just outside of the goal line. And how about this? Very close as they move up, and it's just a battle of wills, and this time Wiley able to get in as Hebron had the lead, and just in a couple of strikes, Wiley taking control as they are now ahead in that game. We'll bring you now, it's Highland Park and Louisville. Louisville getting some points, so they made it a very close contest here into the fourth, but Highland Park threatening again.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw, you know, we mentioned when we were talking at halftime, Louisville it was a lot of mistakes, right? It was a lot of like things that they were kind of, there were a lot of errors that Highland Park was capitalizing on. If they just cleaned it up, right, if they were able to move the ball a little bit, play a little bit better defense, as we're seeing Highland Park, of course, in the red zone here. We'll see if the Farmers can come up with a stop. But Louisville, right there, we knew that first half was a little, I don't want to say lopsided, that's the wrong word to use, but they weren't necessarily playing the game that I know that Coach Odell would have liked to see those guys play. Let's see a timeout here. Look at that, timeout. What did I say? When you get in the red zone, it's time to roll out the chess pieces and see what each coach is lining up. So we're going to go back to the quad box now. Let's go. As we see Atascocita taking over after the Katy score. Again, Katy's not an explosive team, so them getting that kind of score that quickly is, again, if you're Atascocita, you're like, oh, geez, oh, boy. Like a team that runs the I formation and runs the ball just scored in like 2 plays. That's not fun. So, yeah, now probably going to see some clock management here from the Eagles.
We'll go back and now into the fourth quarter as why not? We'll get another timeout. Aledo threatening again against Denton Geyer. So that one we're going to go to timeout, and I think we got some more highlights.
Yeah, we do. We mentioned Chapel Hill, those crazy kids down there, Tyler. We got some more highlights from those guys. Let's start in the third quarter. Demetrius Brisbane, we've mentioned that name, stays in there, hangs in the pocket.
That sidearm?
Oh, my goodness, that looks like a sidearm. Darius Dean, easy touchdown there. Hey, look, Brisbane again. This time he's going to pitch it to Ricky Stewart, the other junior. He dives in the end zone, gets it all Chapel Hill over Van, 43-14. As Atascocita, we're coming back.
Oh, juked out the cameraman.
Almost. I was about to say, I would have done the same thing if I was working camera for that game. Atascocita really trying to hold on here. Of course, Katy now, I think they missed the extra point, so they're down 8. They would have to score a 2-point conversion here if they were to tie it up, if they were to hold Atascocita and get the ball back, I should say.
So it looked like an explosive run, but take your time getting back up to the line. And we got action again back over at Highland Park as they're creeping closer and closer to the end zone into the fourth quarter. Here's a run up the middle. Meanwhile, on the other side for Atascocita, inside the 30, near toward the 25. And so that's another strong run there for the Eagles.
Listen, Atascocita, the past couple of years, they've produced constant offensive linemen coming out of there. And this is the time to flex that, right?
Yeah.
You have offensive linemen, guys like Nate Kibble, it's his turn to kind of be that premier guy for this line. Now it's time to impose your physicality, right? You've always kind of prided yourself on producing, as we see. Is that Aledo? Was that a touchdown?
Looked like
we got
a score with
there
the
at the
flag
end.
down.
I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's negating it. We'll see what this call is. But, of course, this game seemingly just every time we cut back to it, there's something happening in Aledo, Denton Geyer. Looks like it's going to be on Aledo, so it is not going to be a score.
Well, and again, we saw a little bit earlier just, the title town and the first-year head coach, Robbie Jones. Of course, he's not new to that program. He's been around, but...
First time wearing the big hat, but that's it.
Yeah, exactly. But, obviously, first time at the helm with, like you said, the big hat on, not fazed by this really big showdown.
No, he's coached in state championship situations before, just hasn't been making all the shots. But right now, I mean, again, this is a great test for him.
Highland Park now. Quarterback run, that stopped just outside.
Yeah, good stop by Louisville there. That's gonna be a clutch situation for them. I think they might have been looking for. I think that might have been a first down. Though. I saw one of the Highland Park players signaling first down. So I'm wondering if that was.
Might get a couple more knocks at it.
Again, this is a game that this is a drive that could really put this game away for Highland Park. As we see, Warren Peck. Oh, that's a big quarterback, but good hit there. Yeah, Warren Peck's a big guy, so that's not an easy tackle to make. He can literally just fall forward and probably have a good shot at a couple yards.
Hey, well, we talked about, earlier in the Cruton corner, we saw the top defensive lineman. We've seen a couple of strong plays, North Shore, their defensive line. Yeah. That time, a really nice play by the Louisville.
Oh, we got a ref falling over there. What's he? Oh. Oh, there we go. There he goes. Look at that recovery.
Good. He's good.
That was some good recovery. Let's get him in the combine. He was on his back, and he just hopped right back up.
And a reminder, they're on the field for every single snap.
Play.
So they go through it. Going airborne. Is that in? Looks like
it's got to be in. He's like 6'5". There's got to be something.
I don't know.
Looks like, short. Yeah, I think he's short. I saw some Highland Park players looking frustrated. So.
And here we go. We got Aledo and Denton Geyer. Aledo threatening. So we cut in, and that's going to just power his way in. So Aledo back on top here in the fourth.
Yep, like we mentioned, this game's been back and forth every single time.
Yeah.
And
we got Atascocita now inside the 5, and that is a touchdown.
Look at that. Look at that. Let's go. We got parties all over the place.
Come on, who said Atascocita doesn't have an explosive offense?
Ooh, that's Torrey Blaylock. Torrey Blaylock is going to be somebody you're going to know a lot more about this season. That's not, look at that, oh my God, a little souvenir at the end there for the Katy defender. That's not something that people do to Katy, right? They're not the team that runs, as we see the little light show there from Level ISD.
I love it.
I'm a fan of that. Some colleges don't even have that. Yeah. Now, look, it's looking pretty okay, right? I'm going to knock on some wood here at the table. It's looking promising for Atascocita, right? Double-digit lead here. 5 minutes to go. Don't give up a 2-play touchdown, right, to Katy like you did on the last drive. But the fact that they're able to move the ball like this and control the clock a little bit, hey, this is favorable for them. As we're seeing them now for the extra point.
Bit of a low kick, but it's good. So that's going to be a 42-27 lead now for Atascocita with 5.5 to play. Whew. And again, you have, again, that's an explosive offense there for Katy. They've had a couple of really big plays tonight, but again, you're feeling good if you're Atascocita. Back up by 2 with 5.5 to go.
This is a game if you're Atascocita where you're just like, I ain't saying nothing until the clock is over, right? They've been here before. Last year, I believe Seth Davis won it for Katy with a minute to go. So it's like they've been in this situation. They could probably be up 3 scores, 4 scores, 5 scores right now, and they'll be saying, no, nothing. Craig Stump's like, no, we're going to play everybody to the whistle. We're going to make sure that he probably wouldn't even have pulled his starters if they were like 42-0. He's like, we're making sure this game is going to be a win. So we'll see. Promising, knocking on wood here at the desk again. We'll see, but an incredible performance regardless. Another staple, or another chapter, I should say, in this emerging rivalry in the Houston area.
If they're able to hold on tonight, does that put a new target on their back for the rest of the season?
A little bit. I mean, again, they've been an emerging power for the past couple years, but now it starts if they maybe take that little step ahead of Katy, right? A little bit of a sidestep. But also, like we heard earlier today at halftime, they got another district mate in North Shore, right? That's gonna be the other big bad wolf for them. But knocking off Katy could potentially be a huge boost for their confidence heading into the rest of the year, saying, hey, we just did a thing we never done before, right? So everything's on the table for this year as far as I'm concerned, if they can hold on and win this. So I think this is a nice, potentially a nice launch spot for them, and this could be a really special year in a team and a program that's had a ton of special years.
We go back to Highland Park and Louisville. It's a turnover on downs for the Scots. So Louisville with the stop, and there.
Wide open drop. You hate to see that.
That's tough.
But how about Louisville coming up with a huge stop in crunch time, getting the ball back, obviously in the shadow of their own goalpost. But again, here's a chance for them to make a statement on this drive if they can just get out of the shadows here.
Yeah, that's big for the defense to slow down. Again, both these offenses, they put up some gaudy numbers last week. Highland Park with 56 and a 56-24 win over Flower Mound Marcus. Louisville 50-7 over Naaman Forest. Not quite the explosive numbers tonight, but Louisville trying for something and
flag there,
looking for a flag. No. I didn't see anything though.
I think they might have been just riding the hit perfectly. Oh no, there was a flag.
Oh, never mind.
There's a flag. Okay. was wondering. I was like, that was going to be incredible coverage if that wasn't a flag, I guess. But as that, Louisville kind of needed that one because they were. It
gives them a little bit of breathing room now.
Yeah, they were looking a little cramped back there.
And again, Aledo, Denton Guyer, that is a 1-point game in the fourth quarter now. As Denton Guyer with the ball right around midfield. And again, we'll take it right to the call.
48-yard line. So it'll be a 1st and 5. Although that's a weird spot because it really looks like it's 1st and 4. Not the greatest walk-off there on that. And the give is to Schneider, and he is dropped in the loss for the backfield there as the tackle was made by Cooper Cyphers. He is the move-in from Colleyville Heritage. Came in at spring ball, one of the several new move-ins that came in the offseason. Cyphers, who was a freshman on the varsity at Colleyville Heritage last year, 6'1", 220 pounds. He's a sophomore. Technically no gain, so it's 2nd down and call it a long 4. And now I think a timeout is called by Guyer, and we'll take it with them. 30 seconds. 2nd down coming up as they burn their 2nd timeout.
All right, so again, Denton Guyer trying to reclaim their lead as we take another look at Atascocita and Katy, as that's a 2-score lead for the Eagles, but it looks like Katy again just marching right down the field.
I got to stress to people at home, Katy's not like an explosive offense, but they are just like able to move the ball pretty easily. If you're Atascocita, you got to start maybe making a play here. Even though your offense is doing well, right? You have the 2-touchdown lead, but you don't want to continuously give this offense.
It's only been about a minute and a half, and Katy is down to the 20.
Yeah, they're able to, as you're seeing, they're kind of dominating that 3-man front for Atascocita. So we see
play
a
action
pass.
and rolling it out over to the near side. It's a nice grab inside of the 10, hurdles over and inside the 5, and so that's
such an efficient offense too.
And we'll cut you right into the feed and the call on that game.
18 yards, 1st down, goal to go. $67 yards, 3 receptions for the fullback. And to the power eye they go, trying to cut the deficit in half again. Here's Tremaine Hill, barreling in for the touchdown. Hill's 2nd touchdown of the game.
Well, again, that's only about 2 minutes off of the clock for Katy to get back on the scoreboard as we take a look at some of the other updates from our spotlighted games. Fort Bend Marshall rolling all night. That's a 56-0 win. Lead over Crosby. Willis 35-14 over Temple. Again, Denton Guyer, Aledo, that's just a 1-point game. Highland Park and Louisville, we've been checking on that quite a bit. Lake Travis holding on to their 10-point lead over Cibolo Steel. Again, anything jumping out at you that we haven't already touched on?
Yeah, I mean, this Fort Bend Marshall Crosby game last year was a 6-point win for Crosby, I should say. So for that to happen, and again, I'll say this probably multiple times this year, I think this Fort Bend Marshall, I thought this Fort Bend Marshall team was a year away from maybe their best.
Yeah,
they're doing this right now, along with a lot of juniors and sophomores. You probably got to watch out. But Aledo and Denton Guyer, I'll say this right now. If you want an advertisement for Texan Live, that's a game that you should probably jump into right now if you want to catch the full package of that one. Because, yeah, go check out that one, $20 a year. Jump right in. That one's going to be highlights constantly. I mean, it seems like every time we look like, oh, this okay, cool. Somebody just scored. We have to go back because somebody else just scored. We'll see, as we see at the bottom there, Louisville.
Oh, ball was out.
Yeah, looked like it.
And Louisville jumped right back on it.
About to cross half midfield, I should say. And there again, this Louisville, they're kind of just hanging around, right? They haven't crossed half midfield. I don't know why I keep saying half field, midfield, but they're looking to. And
there's the Aledo defense coming up with a big play.
Ooh. Yeah, it's a massive play, and it's not much defense in this game. And they finally decided to make their presence known. They said, "Hey, we're not a team that usually gives up 30 plus."
Yeah, so they're looking to hold on to their 1-point lead. And that's a big play by that defensive line right there for Aledo.
if you know Aledo, you know trenches, you know offensive and defensive line. They're going to have a size advantage in most games they play.
So it's 4th down, and what does it say there?
A mile, I believe.
Yeah, 29, 4th and 29. Jake Gillespie stands at the Aledo 28-yard line. The Bearcat defense comes up with a big stop. Penalty marker, what a surprise, and Gillespie calls for the fair catch at the 28-yard line. My presumption would be well, if it's a 5-yard penalty either side, that Aledo would wave it off if it's against Geyer, but it's a substitution foul against the Bearcats. And so I think what they'll do is they'll mark it off following the play. So the Bearcats, rather than starting around their 27, might start at their 22. Or does Geyer want to repunt it?
I think Geyer's looks like they're going to repunt it. Aledo's it's just simple, just mistakes. They're causing these penalties. You got to clean that type of stuff up. They've done a better job the second half, but the second time this drive, they've had a substitution penalty on defense.
Well, they were over 100 yards in penalties last week and had 12, and then they have 11 for 83 tonight. And so,
they're going to just access it on for Aledo's first offensive play.
All right, so Riedheim thought better of it and said, all right, well, why don't we just push him back 5 yards rather than where it is, and we'll just keep him right there, and we'll trust our defense to see if we can get a stop. 8 minutes, 55 seconds to play here in this Platinum Collision 4th quarter. The Bearcats took the lead 38-37 earlier in this quarter on the Ray Guillory 2-yard touchdown.
Well, Aledo got the big stop right there, so they have the ball back as we go over. And again, a couple of barn burners, Atascocita and Katy, 3:24 to go, and it looks like getting near midfield for Atascocita as they're trying to put the finishing touches on this one.
As we're seeing now, trying to move the ball on first down. Again, they're not going to throw the ball unless they meaning Atascocita.
Yep.
They're not going to throw the ball unless they really have to, because they're going to try to grind this one out as they're nearing midfield.
Looks like Louisville.
A little zoom out there.
Yeah.
It's like, woo.
Louisville just past midfield. As again, they were able to force the turnover on downs. Highland Park was knocking on the door, and Louisville with the turnover, they got a little bit of help
Going
there.
deep. There might be a hold. Yeah.
It was knocked down. Yeah, there was a flag down, and
I think there
looked
might
like
be
that was going to be.
Was that 4th down?
Yeah, I think
that
so.
That might have been 4th down there. Yeah.
Looked like the flag was going to be against Louisville. We'll have to wait and see.
Looks like based on the reactions to Highland Park, looks like that is going to be. Or was that the last play? Yeah. That might have been the last play, yeah.
Highland Park?
Man, what a holding on for a huge win for Highland Park. I mean, again, Louisville, I'll read off that stat again. 1 loss to a Texas team since 1998 in Highland Park Stadium, right? So Louisville did about as good of a job as anybody's done in the last 20, 30 years of anybody playing in the Highlander Stadium. So disappointing loss for them, but regardless, something that they should, Coach Odell should be taking and saying, look how far this program's come. As we look now to Aledo, Denton, Geyer. Aledo going to be looking to grind out this one.
Yeah, just trying to do the same thing Atascocita is trying to do, just melt some clock.
Make sure they don't touch the ball again.
Yeah. But Aledo with it now at their own 25, up by 1. What a matchup this has been.
Here we go, a little wipe.
Yeah, we got
the Star Wars wipe going on.
Katy going. That's why you sign up for Texan Live. You get a little bit of everything. As we got the $3 here. So we got a bit of a pause there at Atascocita and Katy. Hey, we're having fun.
We are.
We're past the 10 o'clock hour. We got some crazy
I don't
games
need
going
none
on.
of this right now. Producers, people in the back having some fun with us right now. I don't appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
think Ashley Pickle might have had a bit of a say in that one shot for you there. Again, a shout out to our producers, Mallory Hartley, Ashley Pickle had the vision of this.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier this year, and it's come to
all the
fruition.
highlight cutters, everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, again,
And
the reason why we're able to put on all of this is because of the great students here at
There's a
North
big
Texas.
catch by Aledo.
Oh, my
They're
goodness.
saying, no, they're not listening to us.
I was about to say,
they're
winding
not gonna
down the
waste time.
clock.
Yeah, no, they go for a deep strike as they're all of a sudden inside Wildcat territory. So it just took a couple of plays for them as they're right back into Denton Geyer territory.
They did a really good job there. By the time Geyer only rushed through, they dropped everybody else back. He was patient. He waited for McCoy to find the open gap in the zone in the back end. He was able to hit him for a big gain.
At the Geyer 44, the give is to Guillory up the middles, and he gets about 3 yards to the 41-yard line as we near 7 minutes and 15 seconds to play in this fourth quarter. Breathe, everybody, breathe.
Absolutely. And, the Bearcats want the clock running right now. They got a 1-point lead. They got the ball in plus territory. You want to try to run as much clock as you can off right now, as well as get points.
And just to remind you, Geyer has 1 timeout remaining. Aledo has 2. Under 7 minutes to play. 2nd down and 7 at the Geyer 41. Pocket rolls on a straight run for Haney. Breaks a tackle at the 40. Keeps his legs turning. And he gets to about the 37-yard line. That's a pickup of 4. So the Bearcats will face a 3rd and 3 at the Geyer 37. Need to get to just inside the 35 to about the 34.
You almost think the Bearcats might be in 4-down territory here.
Kind of have that lull here right now as the Bearcats, everyone's kind of just standing up. 20 seconds to go on the play clock in case you were wondering. But this is a 3rd and 3 for the Bearcats at the Geyer 37. Again, have to get to about the 34-yard line. 2 receivers to the near side. Power pistol formation. Guillory on the carry up the middle. Has a 1st down. Keeps the legs turning to about the 33-yard line. They needed 3. They got 4. 1st down Bearcats, brought to you by Railhead Smokehouse in Willow Park.
It was a really good job there. The Aledo offensive line allowing Guillory to get through there, to pick up the 1st down. And right now is when you got to lean on your big boys up front. Tell them, go win this game. You can run more time off this clock, punch it in there, and put this to a 2-score game. And, you put a lot of pressure on Geyer if you're able to do that.
Guillory, 21 carries for 128 yards. Haas Haney tonight, 10 carries, 97 yards. Power pistol formation again. And it's a fumble on the ground as the exchange was mishandled between Haney and Guillory, but Haney alertly is able there to cover it for the Bearcats back at the 36-yard line. And
on the ground, they jump right back on it, and that Denton Geyer defensive line getting, hey, I like it.
We got a mini box going on here.
Mini box. We just keep finding out new things. I'm loving this.
Every week, we got something new. We're gonna have a 6-box going next week.
Oh, hey, I like that.
I have no idea. No pressure on the producers.
All right, there we go. Anyway, back to that play, though. It's a missed handoff or a missed exchange.
I will say one thing. So Racing Guillory lost his helmet there. He's going to be out for this play. So that's going to be something pretty crucial. Again, he's been pretty crucial for them as we
now
kind of step over.
Atascocita and Katy. Ball was out.
Wow, looks like Katy muffed a punt, and Atascocita.
Atascocita got it back?
I think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that might do it for Atascocita.
Oh my goodness, this will be a massive win for Coach Stump and the Eagle program. Finally getting one over. Again, still gotta run it out or kneel it out or whatever they want. I don't know how many timeouts Katy has left, but I would presume not many at this point in the game. Especially based on the reactions some of those Katy players look like. They look like it's like, that's probably it.
Wow, I mean, again, what a statement it would be for Atascocita to get their first win over Katy. And again, they put up 41 points last week, 42 tonight, and they're just going to take a knee right here. So Atascocita is going to hold on and a huge win. And congratulations to those Eagles, and that has been a fun one to keep you updated on all night long as we go back. Aledo, again, the near miss. They control possession, and they spin inside toward the 5. And so, again, they're trying to build their lead up by 1.
A little bit more on Atascocita. They could, if again, they hold on here, they're probably going to be favored every game until the end of October when they play Galena Park North Shore. So they could potentially be heading into that game 8-0, 9-0, I think it's, or 8-0, I think. And in North Shore, of course, will probably be favored to be 8-0 as well. That could be one of the more hyped up matchups in the Houston area in a long time, as we're seeing them just kneel it out here. Zion Brown, probably the best knees he's ever taken in his career, because as we see, Aledo kind of putting it on there. That's a huge, potentially a 2-score game now. I'm assuming they're going to go for 2 here, maybe make it a 2-score game and not give Geyer a chance to score and get a 2-point conversion.
So again, I mean, that would be a pretty good statement for Aledo coming into the 6A powerhouse of Denton Geyer, and they've gone blow for blow with them, and now again just holding on, as looks like Atascocita will hold on
Boom.
And congratulations.
Yeah,
to
first
them.
win for
Wow.
Craig Stump and Atascocita over Katy. Almost blocked that kick there. It looked like Geyer did. But yeah, their first time. Craig Stump 0-8 heading into this game. Atascocita 0-5 heading into this game. Massive win over Katy.
Yeah, so Aledo a 45-37. Yeah, 45-37 lead for Aledo now with that touchdown. So again, wow. I mean, we thought last week was a lot of fun. I mean, you can't. I mean, back-to-back weeks of just absolutely phenomenal games. This has been a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
We're gonna give you guys a gift. Actually, we've run past our time. Right, it's 10:19. We're technically supposed to stop at 10, but we're gonna do something because we love y'all.
Look at
We're gonna
this.
keep
Look
it
at this
here
guy.
on Aledo Denton Guy. We're gonna keep it here. If you want to watch this, we're gonna sign off. Right, I'll let Nick do the whole sign off thing in a bit, but we're gonna keep it here after we sign off. Keep it here, Denton Guyer, Aledo. We'll finish that game out, giving it to you guys for free. If you like what you see, if you want to watch it again later, maybe, $20. Subscribe, TexasFootball.com. Nick, do the sign-off thing.
There we go. What a generous offer there from Ish. Yeah, we're going to keep that on. But again, thank you so much for spending your Friday night with us here. For our producers, Mallory Hartley, Ashley Pickle, for our director, Seth Biley, and for my friend right here on the desk, Ish Johnson. This is Nick Laupia saying good night, and we're taking you right to Aledo and Denton Guyer.
Catch. They decided to take it up the field. That idea worked as they get across the 40-yard line.
Yeah,
Blake Burdine with the stop for the Bearcats as the Geyer will take over at the 41. I'm sorry, Kyle.
No,
go ahead.
sometimes on those pooch kicks like that, you get a little too much air underneath it, or if you don't get enough on there, he's able to field the ball quicker. The coverage doesn't get down there, and you allow him to run the ball.
Stack receivers to the near side of the field, one receiver to the right, McLaughlin, and now we got a whistle and a flag, and I think that was a procedure penalty against Geyer. And it was. Tenth penalty, 115 yards for Geyer tonight. Aledo chasing them with 12 penalties for 93 yards themselves. But first down adversity this time goes against Geyer after we saw it ad nauseum against the Bearcats.
Yeah, it's nice to see it on the other side for a change.
First and 15 for Geyer at its 36-yard line. Tight end is to the left. McLaughlin in the shotgun. Wants to throw, steps up in the pocket, fires downfield looking for Glasgow. Has him. 10-5 touchdown. 64 yards. He got behind Jake Gillespie. A beautiful ball there by McLaughlin. And now Geyer a 2-point conversion away from tying it. That's why that Cole Crawford extra point a few moments ago loomed large.
Yeah, that was just man on man right there. Jake Gillespie let him get behind him, and it was just an easy pass there for McLaughlin to make. Puts Geyer a 2-point conversion away from tying this game.
We have 88 points in this game with 4:07 to play, and you set off air. Whoever has the ball last wins. I think you were darned if you weren't right. Maybe
it's what it seems like. I mean, I don't think we've had one defensive stop this half. I think and it's just been one thing after another. Outside of a turnover by Aledo, it's just been back and forth. It's been a lot of fun to watch.
Going for two is Geyer, of course, to try and tie this game at 45. And it'll be a give up the middle. And what do we have? We have a whistle here before we could even get it snapped. So
we're going to call a false start.
We got a false start on Geyer. So that's a break for the Bearcats as this 2-point try will start at the 8 rather than the 3. And they don't have any choice but to go for 2 now, of course, with the game being where it is with 4:07 to play. And again, they only have one timeout, the Bearcats with 2. 45-43, Aledo leads, but Geyer trying to go for the equalizing 2 following the big touchdown pass. So trips to the near side for McLaughlin, takes the snap, pressure, time in it in the end zone, and it is...
It's touchdown.
It's caught for the 2-point try. There was a penalty marker that was thrown.
It's going to be on Aledo.
And it'll be against Aledo for pass interference, but Josiah Martin comes down with a tying 2-point conversion, and we have a new ball game.
Yep.
It is Aledo 45, Geyer 45, 4:07 to play here in this fourth quarter. Back with the Geyer kickoff after this, and you're listening to Aledo Bearcats football on 92.1 Hank FM.
starting.
Scoring summary for Denton Geyer to tie it. One play, 59 yards. 16 seconds off the clock. A 64-yard touchdown pass from McLaughlin, his 5th of the night. This one going to Corbin Glasgow, the sophomore, only 5'7", 175 pounds. Time now for Ford Stinson's kickoff. Bearcats with their 2 deep men at their 5-yard line. The wind at his back, and it is to the near side, and it'll be fielded at the 5. Going across the field, 10, 20-yard line. Penalty marker thrown in there, and so the Bearcats
block in the back
will be probably hit here for a block in the back, as the return was by Avon Lawrence, but he got to about the 23-yard line, but the flag was thrown at the 16. And so wherever it was thrown, that's going to be half the distance. And so I think the Bearcats are going to start inside their own 10 following this walk-off.
Yeah, and, you know, penalty aside, the Bearcats offense right now, you have a chance to go win this game. Geyer has 1 timeout. If you can sustain a drive here, move the ball downfield, run the clock out, you can put yourself in a position to try to win this game right here.
And now this is the time where they don't need adversity on first down, which has been their bugaboo tonight.
You've already had it with the penalty on the kickoff. You're at 1st and 15. You got to get a drive here and go get points.
Well, maybe they got it out of the way.
You hope so.
At the 8-yard line, the Bearcats start. In theory, 92 yards away, but we'll see if they want to get, if they could get closer for Cole Crawford if they need that. Haney to throw in the end zone. Passes caught. Clarkson over the middle, trying to get near the first down marker. Does. Gets maybe one more as he's pushed out of bounds at about the 9-yard line. All that for 1 yard.
Yeah,
he
caught the ball and kind of retreated about 4 or 5 yards there, trying to avoid a defender, but ends up only getting 1 yard on that.
We're going longer than last week. This is going to push over 3 hours tonight. We kicked off at 7:30. We're going on 10:30 tonight, my man. So much for getting home early at a reasonable hour. Yeah, we might. Deacon paid by the hour. At the 9, 2nd down. Give us to Guillory some room to run across the 15 near the first down marker, but he'll be a little bit short. He gets to the 17-yard line, so he'll be a yard short. The Bearcats facing a 3rd one, and even though that play got 1 yard on first down, not a negative play. So see that?
Yeah,
they got it out of their system.
They did. You know, that was a really good run by Guillory there. To be able to get 8 there on 2nd down, make 3rd and 1. Much more manageable.
Big 3rd down coming up for the Bearcats. Need 1. Got to get to the 17-yard line. It's Guillory up the middle. Think he's got the first down, and he does, to the 19-yard line. Just kind of lowered his head, kind of squirted through the right side, gets the first down. It's a pickup of 2 to the 19-yard line. It's a rail-hit Smokehouse and Willow Park first down. The Bearcats move the chains.
That's what you love watching about Guillory. He understands the situation. He knows he needs 1 yard. He doesn't hesitate. He gets the ball. He goes straight out the gap. He's able to lower his shoulder and pick up the first down.
See, it's easy for me to call it in this position. Jeff Williams used to call these games. He's now listening. Now he's pensive about this. 2 receivers to the far side. Haney to throw on 1st and 10 at the 19. Fires it down the left side of the field, and it is caught at the 48-yard line. Trace Clarkson comes up with the grab. It's a pickup of 30 yards.
Great.
And a first down, brought to you by Railhead Smokehouse in Willow Park. Huge night for Trace Clarkson. What is he, 7 for 75? Hawk Daniels, by the way, 3 at it for 93, but a huge, and the Bearcats moving it from a deep hole where they started at their 8. Guillory on a 1st and 10 gets into Geyer territory for a short pickup to about the 48-yard line as we dip to the 2:30 mark of this 4th quarter.
And you go back to the play before this, what a great call by Robbie Jones there. First down, you got 1st and 10 to take a shot like that and throw it to Trace Clarkson out there. Really good pass there by Haas Haney. Even better catch by Trace Clarkson for a huge play to get the Bearcats out of the hole they started in.
At the 48-yard line, it is 2nd down and 7 for the Bearcats in Geyer territory. We near the 2-minute mark of this game. Haney on a keeper up the middle. Room to run. 40. First down. 35. Keeps the legs turning before he's brought down at the 33-yard line. 14 yards and a first down for Hoss Haney. Well over 100 yards tonight. That first down brought to you by Railhead Smokehouse in Willow Park.
And it looks like Hoss Haney, he's going to take it on himself. He's going to take this game over. I mean, a run like that is a good, hard run. Wasn't going to be tackled. He was able to extend the drive, or extend the play and get the first down.
At the 33-yard. Remember we said, why is it Hoss Haney running last week against Paris? We don't need to talk about that anymore. And, of course, Robbie Jones spoke about that in the podcast. High snap to Haney, trying to make something out of nothing. Gets outside the numbers, gets outside the 30, inside the 30, steps out of bounds. They'll actually call it the 30-yard line where he steps out of bounds. 1:27 to play. Crawford did not attempt a field goal last week against Parrish. Didn't need him to. Of course, you'd like to score here late and not put it in the hands of your kicker. We are tied at 45. 87 seconds left in this ball game. 1 timeout for Geyer, 2 timeouts for the Bearcats. It'll be a give to Devon Keys, his second carry of the night. Gets 5 yards to the 25-yard line. And it'll be a 3rd down and 1 coming up as the Bearcats being somewhat deliberate here. I think they're pretty much in 4-down territory here. Now, if you don't get 3rd down, the question would be for Geyer, would you want to stop time? Because if you count on your defense, we'll worry about that later. Physical formation, give us to Devon Keys. First down to the 20, inside the 15, to the 10, to the 5. It's a first down for the Bearcats at the 6-yard line in Geyer territory. Railhead Smokehouse and Willow Park first down. That's another trip to the Bass Insurance Group red zone. The Bearcats at the 6-yard line. We are under a minute to go, 52 seconds to play, tied at 45.
And Geyer just took their last timeout.
19 yards in the pickup there, and Geyer burns its last timeout. We'll keep it here. All right, what do you call here, Kyle Hicks?
Well, I think you look at the situation here. You got 52 seconds left. Yes, you want to score a touchdown. You do not want to give Geyer, you want to give them as little time as possible. So if you're Robbie Jones, you want to just try to kill the clock. Geyer just wasted their last timeut. Do you want to try to kill the clock as much as you can, get the ball in the center field and take the chance with Cole Crawford to win the game as time expires? Or do you want to go ahead and try to get a touchdown as quick as you can and give Geyer the ball back? Now, Geyer's had a lot of success throwing the ball deep on your defense tonight. They've done it 4 or 5 times for touchdowns. So if I'm Robbie Jones, I don't want to give Geyer the ball back in any way.
Well, the idea is obviously to score. By the way, I'm going to steal a line from the late, great Keith Jackson when he was calling that epic USC-Texas national championship game toward the end, right before Vince Young scored. He goes, I feel like Job, I'm too old for this.
It's way too early in the season to be feeling like that.
Oh, man. But, I mean, this is why we love Texas high school football games, when you have 2 excellent programs facing off tonight. Aledo looking for a little magic once again here at the Collins Complex. Tied at 45, 1st and goal at the Geyer 6, 52 seconds to play in this game. 3 receivers to the near side. Guillory stands to the right of Haney. And it'll be a give to Guillory, and he is trapped in the backfield for a loss. They'll push him back to about the 7-8 yard line. The Bearcats really in no hurry. Now, if you don't get anything further here, you're looking at a field goal from about 25 yards for Cole Crawford, your left footer. Down to 30 seconds. 2nd down and goal at the 7. Haney, snap, keeper, looking for a block to the outside. 5, and he's pushed out of bounds at about the 3-yard line. 23 seconds to go. Job's got nothing on us. They spot him at the 3. Tied at 45. Again, they have a chip shot field goal in their back pocket if they need it. And a timeout.
And I believe Geyer's out of timeouts.
And Geyer's out of timeouts, even though they still list him with 1. Maybe Aledo burned that timeout. Double tight ends. Give us to Guillory over the left side. He is stood up for no gain at the 3-yard line. Now, if you're Aledo, it's 4th down. You've got the field goal. You pretty much have to kick it now because you win the game with it.
You call timeout with about 3 seconds left. You'll kick a field goal to try to win it.
We all know how this drama is going to go. Aledo does burn its timeout with 3 seconds or 2 seconds to go. And so the ball is spotted at the 4. Officially, it was a 1-yard loss for Guillory. Final play of the game, they're going to line up, and of course, Geyer will call its timeout to try and ice Crawford. The ball is on the far hash on the Aledo side of the field, which is the east side of the field here at the C.H. Collins Complex. Everybody standing here at the Collins Complex as Cole Crawford, probably the loneliest man in this stadium tonight, trying to win a ball game for the Bearcats.
Yeah, just again, though, just an outstanding job by the Aledo offense. You started this drive for 4 minutes from your own 8-yard line. You're able to take it all the way down the field, burn off all the remaining time to give yourself an opportunity to try to win it here.
Austin Keith is your holder. Your snapper is Cooper Cohan. Cole Crawford. Crawford will line this up at the 11-yard line, the left footer with a 21-yard field goal. Again, we're expecting Geyer to call timeout. The snap, the kick, on its way, and it is good! And Aledo wins it, 48-45.
Outstanding job by Cole Crawford. All the pressure in the world on him. He just walks out there, puts it right through the uprights and win the game for Aledo. A great way to win the game. Aledo played at times very well. They also had times where they played sloppy, but at the end of the day, they showed maturity, that they're a mentally tough team, able to fight back several times from being down and pull this out. It was a great job by the Bearcats.
Your El Dorado game-winning scoring drive for the Bearcats. They used the last 4:07. This drive started at their 8-yard line. 13 plays, 92 yards. Cole Crawford, the game-winning 21-yard field goal. And Aledo gets its second win of this series against the Geyer Wildcats. They win an epic matchup tonight, 48-45. Stick around. The Happy Titan Ready Mix postgame show coming up next. The Bearcats win an absolutely phenomenal football game.